I just feel really like lightheaded.
Have you had water recently?
Yeah. Welcome to the YouTube preamble. It's the YouTube preamble.
Oh, we're live?
We are hopefully on the stream. I flipped the camera, so hopefully on stream you should be able to see these right side up now.
Do yours and do mine. Yours looks right, mine still looks backwards.
Weird, very strange. I don't know. I flipped
So
it, so it should be.
clearly I'm still mirrored, but you're not. I'm guessing you don't have control over mine.
No, I flipped it through OBS, so it should flip both of us. I
Maybe
don't
it
know.
maybe it looks normal on your screen then, I don't know.
I don't know.
But on mine it's definitely still backwards on my
I don't
phone.
know. I don't know. Anyway. Boom.
Clearly I'm still mirrored, but you're not. I'm guessing you don't have control over mine.
No, I flipped it through OBS, so it should.
I can hear both of us.
Sweet. Let's start the show in three.
Let's start the show.
In
Although,
three.
although I will say on the YouTube, I don't know if it's caught up or what, but the screen that's showing appears to be, I think it's your Facebook.
Really? Really? That's dumb. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. So it is. What the heck? Why are we not? Okay, hold on.
So I figure you might want that dealt with.
Why is it not? What the heck? Why is it not showing? Hold on. What about now? What does it show on the stream now?
On my screen, it still shows, but like shows your Facebook. But I'm not sure if I'm live. I think I am, and it seems like it's just your Facebook.
Is it black? Is the screen black?
No, it's your Facebook.
Why is it not showing?
See?
Hold on.
See?
Hold on. Weird.
Oh, now it's black.
Weird.
Oh, now it went back to your Facebook. Now it's black.
Why is it not?
I'll try closing it and coming back in.
Hold on. Dumb.
Now it's still, when I go back to it, it's your Facebook.
Give it a second to catch up.
Looking for, oh, now it's us.
Good. Oh yeah, that's so funny. It's completely flipped. So on the stream, I'm on the right and you're on the left.
And my shirt is normal on the stream on yours, but on my screen, you're still on your normal side. I'm still on my normal side, and your shirt is not reversed, and my shirt is reversed.
Oh, see, for me, they're both reversed on mine, but on the stream, it's not. That's what's important.
On my screen, yours is not reversed, and mine is reversed.
Weird. I don't know. It's so dumb. Anyway, let's start the show. Where's my clock? There's my clock. Okay. Oh, pardon me. In 3, 2, 1. This podcast is brought to you by the Arete Media Pantheon. Please head to aretemedia.org to see lots of podcasts from our great friends. And if you would like to start your own podcast, they can provide you with the tools and resources to do so there. So please head to aretemedia.org. On with the show, Jordan.
On with the show, Justin.
We are late today, but that's okay.
I blame you.
I blame society.
Well, as long as someone is getting blamed, I think that's what's important.
Welcome to the Spur of the Moment podcast, everybody. I'm your host, Justin Spurr. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, the incomparable Jordan. How incomparable are you feeling today, Jordan?
I am pretty incomparable.
So on today's show...
It would be hard to meet this level of awesomeness.
On today's show, apparently they're doing a Hulk Hogan movie. We got Daredevil trailer, we got Kraven trailer, animated Evil Dead movie, Snow White, Man, Red Hulk sure looks like Harrison Ford, and more. And then later it's gonna be Ultraman versus Super Sentai is gonna be the back half of this. For this one, I think we're gonna try to keep it close to the normal format as we can. But we're gonna today is about learning. It's about learning about Ultraman. It's about learning about Super Sentai. Because I gotta tell you, spoiler alert, I learned a lot. I learned a surprising amount about that franchise. It's kind of wild how
And
convoluted that
and
franchise is.
and I got to tell you, I'm a terrible teacher. So be excited for that.
Excellent. Okay, to start. Oh, and also there's a very special sponsor for today's episode. We'll get to them later. But to start off with, Jordan, apparently Goodwill Hunting director could reunite with Ben Affleck and Matt Damon for a Hulk Hogan movie.
But like a biopic?
Yes, it's about when his supposedly about when his sex tape leaked. And Jordan,
Well,
you'll never guess who will be playing theoretically Hulk Hogan.
uh, why?
I don't
Who was
know.
asking for this? Why?
Hulk Hogan fans, I guess.
Hulk Hogan is going to play Hulk Hogan.
No, try again.
Zac Efron.
Jordan, okay. We'll go back. We'll try this again. It's Ben Affleck, Matt Damon.
Matt Damon.
Close.
Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck, you got it, Jordan. First try.
Got it.
Nail it. He got it on the first try. Steven, the editor. So it looks like he got it on the first try.
There's no Steven.
There's no Steven. Yes, it's gonna be. I just don't see it. I don't see it. I'm not seeing Ben Affleck as Hulk Hogan.
I just don't understand why.
I
Why? Of all the
mean,
things you could make a movie about for Hulk Hogan, his wrestling career, his failed acting career, his sex tape.
I guess that was
That's
a
what
highly
we're doing?
controversial moment in his life. But my thing is just like, why Ben Affleck as Hulk Hogan? I'm just not seeing it. I don't see it. I'm not seeing it.
I don't know, man.
I'm not seeing the voice. I'm not seeing the
Again,
persona.
if I'm looking for a biopic of Hulk Hogan, I want to watch the wrestling stuff. That
Yeah.
sounds way more fun. That sounds way more fun.
But who would you have play Hulk Hogan?
In my version or this version?
Whatever, either version.
In this version, I don't care because it's about his sex tape, and that doesn't interest me. In my version, Zac Efron.
All right. I mean, even though he already did a wrestling movie.
I don't care. I just think it would be funny to see him try to do a Hulk Hogan.
I mean, all right. I respect that. Apparently, Jordan, they're
And
working
I want Daniel Radcliffe to be in it as Macho Man Randy Savage.
Okay, I'm into it. I'm down. I'm down with. I'm down to clown with that. I'm down to clown with that. That sounds fun.
Specifically, the more I'm thinking about it, I'm far more interested in Daniel Radcliffe as Macho Man Randy Savage, because the idea of him with the hat and the hair, it's just
He could do
hilarious
it.
to me.
I mean, he could do it.
He could absolutely do it. I see it. I so see that.
To be fair, I just want Daniel Radcliffe to do more things generally. Like that's just the world needs more Daniel Radcliffe, I think.
I agree.
I think it does. Apparently they're making an animated Evil Dead series. And I see that news and I'm like, I really need to get into the Evil Dead franchise.
Evil Dead, is that Resident Evil? What is Evil Dead?
Evil Dead is Ash.
Ash, that's the chainsaw.
Yeah, that's Bruce Campbell.
Groovy.
Yeah, that guy.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, I'm showing my ignorance when it comes to that sort of thing, but I haven't watched that.
Neither have I. But it's always a franchise that I've been like, I feel like I need to get into this.
I've seen it parodied.
Yeah, exactly.
But I've not really watched the original. So maybe we do an episode at Halloween where we're watching horror things, and that gives us the excuse we need
to do Evil Dead. Yeah, because that's a franchise I've always been like, I need to get into this. I need to watch at least the first two. I've seen it parodied so many times.
I just know that he's got the chainsaw and the shotgun. He's like groovy.
Yeah, and one of the games he rides, there's a little guy that rides on his shoulders, and it's like is he a character in stuff? Is that what he was?
I think he's called Short Stuff.
I kind of only vaguely
Short
remember
Stack?
that game. That sounds familiar.
Short something sounds familiar.
Yeah, that sounds familiar. Apparently there's been an update. Apparently they're making a live action Voltron movie, which that's cool.
I mean, okay, people are just gonna look at it and go like, oh, it's Power Rangers. Just for the people that love Voltron to go like, it's not Power Rangers, it's Voltron.
It's Voltron. It's a very different. Well,
It's
I mean,
completely
the
different.
animated Netflix series did really well.
I mean, I remember watching some of that and it being enjoyable.
Yeah, it definitely had an Avatar vibe
I'm
to it,
just I'm
which
just
I think was
saying
made
for
by the
like
same people.
the average person is gonna see guy in giant mech that turns from one thing into other thing and is gonna go like, oh well, that's Power
I mean,
Rangers.
hey, look, I watched Godzilla but a guy this week, so like, I know what you mean. I know exactly what you're saying. I
Yeah.
I
The average the average person that's not like a deep cut fan, that's what the
I think if
reaction is
maybe if
gonna
they do
be.
like if they do it maybe sort of quasi seriously and you really do like a Pacific Rim thing and you really like focus on its scale and the fact that it's a giant robot, like they're giant lines that fuse into an even more giant robot, maybe then. But yeah, you're
I
right. I don't know
mean,
how you do Voltron in live action.
yeah, it just kind of devolves to Power Rangers without the suits. Like
Yeah, yeah.
that's what if you're doing it in live action, to me that's kind of what it devolves to. And
But I
so
mean,
yeah,
the
how
Power
how
Rangers
do you
movie
make
was
that
Power Rangers without the suits, so you know.
well that's what I'm saying is people are just going to see this and think of that. Like
Maybe,
how do you do it really? And I just don't
maybe.
think you do. I just
Um,
in live action,
yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
seeing it.
So George, it's time for another trailer roundup, beginning with the Daredevil Born Again trailer, which I saw obviously because Marvel showed Dick at D23. I saw a bootleg version of, and
I think you showed me a little bit of that.
and look, I'm interested. I'm into it. I mean, it reminds me of the Netflix show, which is a benefit to me. I think it looks cool. I think it looks sufficiently brutal. Which is
I
what
mean,
Daredevil should. It should be violent. It looks violent. He sure snapped that guy's neck.
this I don't have a strong love of Daredevil. Like
Yeah,
just generally as a character, I don't dislike him. I just he's one of those Marvel characters for me where for a while I don't know if I felt like this as a kid, but like for a while it's kind of just been like, okay,
yeah.
he exists.
I've always just
He's
kind
a
of been like,
character,
he's just
he's a
Batman.
character that is there and
Yeah,
that I can appreciate that some people like, but I have no strong feelings towards. So I hear about this show, and I feel largely the same way that I did about the Netflix one, which is like he's just kind of Batman.
yeah. He's just kind of Batman. I don't disagree.
Like I
But
don't
I don't know. I will say it looks a bit more.
meh.
The trailer makes it look more dynamic than the Netflix show. Look, I think it looks better than the Netflix show. And I really quite like the Netflix show.
I
And those
haven't seen
Netflix
enough
shows.
of it to form that opinion.
But I'm interested, especially if it's true and Spider-Man shows up. Spider-Man shows up, I'm all the way in. I'm kind of half in.
That would make it a more exciting sell for
Yeah.
me if Spider-Man shows up.
Um,
But otherwise, I just I mean, okay, here's what I'll say about the Daredevil stuff, which I'm gonna give you a perfect segue to one of the other trailers you mentioned. Um, at least the hero is in that.
Yeah, and I know where you're going with this. Apparently, it's not in my list of stories, but we're gonna talk about it anyway. That Kraven trailer, right?
Yeah,
But here's
I
my
don't like
okay.
it.
I do.
I don't.
I get what you're saying. I will say he at least feels like Kraven the Hunter. I give him that. But like without Spider-Man, who cares? That.
Mm,
But I get what you're saying in that regard. But also, it looks like maybe it's because I just like absurdly stupid action, like violent action movies. It looks like an absurdly stupid violent action movie where one guy just murders a bunch of people, and that seems fun to me. And like, yeah, like Rhino looks dumb as hell, but again, I like one of my favorite movies is Immortals, and that movie is bloody and violent and dumb. So like, if I
sure.
remove myself from the fact that it's supposed to be Kraven the Hunter, and I just enjoy it as a movie, I think it will be at least as fun as Venom.
No, I don't. I mean, there's so many things about it. The people are all excited about the fact that spoilers for this trailer, Rhino shows up at the end of it, and I'm like, Rhino isn't a literal rhino. He's a guy in a freaking rhino suit.
Yeah,
In all of his iterations, whether it be a giant metal suit or it be like he's a big dumb bodybuilder who gets put into the gray suit from the '90s cartoon, he's a guy in a suit, not an actual. He's not King Shark.
yeah,
He's not like the crocodile dude from Batman. Like he's not an actual rhino that Kraven should be hunting in the jungle. He's a criminal from Brooklyn. No,
and I get that. I totally get it. But like,
no,
if I remove myself from the fact that that's
no,
not the
but no,
rhino
but
and
you
it's just a
can't.
rhino
But you
monster,
can't.
I can
You
have
can.
fun. Yeah, you can. Sure, you
No,
can.
no.
Especially if
Then
it's
don't call him Kraven the Hunter.
well, it's not technically just called Kraven, but yeah,
Whatever. Don't make him the Spider-Man villain. Make him a different character. That's the thing that irritates me is okay, you want to play it your way and make it like okay, just remove it from the Spider-Man stuff. Then don't attach it to the Spider-Man stuff.
they need the IP. That's that.
Yeah, I know. That's the only reason they're doing that.
And look,
Otherwise, you're right. It could have absolutely nothing to do with them and be a fine movie.
yeah,
But because you've attached it to the Spider-Man stuff, it pisses me off. Especially because it's like this isn't their first time trying this. Like this doesn't work. People don't like when you do this.
yeah,
People didn't like Morbius. People barely tolerate Venom without Spider-Man.
yeah.
No. I'm sorry, but no.
I will say
No.
it looks better than Madam Web and Morbius. Like, it at least
Oh,
looks interesting.
I forgot about Madam Web. No, let's not even go there.
It at least looks interesting to me. Like, it looks
No.
like I respect it for trying. That's my thing.
No.
I'm
I did not engage with Morbius. Like I have not watched that. I did not engage with Madam Web. I have not watched that. I will not engage with.
I'll watch this once
I will not give money or participate in this Spider-Man-less Spider-Man villain movies.
I
No.
will. I'll watch it when it comes to streaming. I mean, I'm not paying for it. I'm not going to watch it in the theater, but I'll watch it when it. Well, I'll come here and I'll talk about how bad it is.
I like and
don't get me
respect
wrong, it looks bad.
Spider-Man. I like and respect Spider-Man way too much to do that to him.
And
no.
like I like if it turns into like I like him physically. I like his presence in the trailer. So if it turns into a thing of like this is the background of him going like before he fights Spider-Man, then I might be slightly more forgiving of it. Because yeah, I do like
maybe
I like
maybe
him,
if
I
in
like
the
him
end
in there,
credit.
so.
Maybe if in the end credit we get a scene where he's reading, like he's sitting at his table reading a newspaper and he sees an article about Tom Holland's Spider-Man or one of the Spider-Men, a Spider-Man. I don't even care. Sony can make their own new Spider-Man and have it be one that's just for his universe. But tie him to a Spider-Man because you're right. I like him visually. He looks like Kraven.
Yeah.
He feels like Kraven. He would be a good Kraven to go up against Spider-Man.
Legit, yeah. I was like when they had him in the I was good for them for actually like giving him a costume that looks like Kraven. Like I will say that, like at least he looks like Kraven. I respect that.
But I think that's what makes it so frustrating for me is it's like, yeah, he would be fun with Spider-Man. Like this guy would be fun with Spider-Man.
Of these non-Spider-Man Spider-Man movies, it definitely looks like it's one of the better ones. It's not saying it's good, it just looks like it's one of the better ones.
Like it just frustrates me with Sony where it's like you guys have the keys to the kingdom here. You could put Spider-Man in there. You could set up your own Spider universe with your own live action Spider-Man. Tease him out with all these villain movies and have him have like the Sinister Six movie, which brings all of these ones that you've set up in their own movies to fight against Spider-Man. At that point, not having him be in these individual movies doesn't bother me because you're setting it up for a bigger thing. You're doing an Avengers, but with Spider-Man. And I'm okay with that. That would be fun. Yeah. But you got to put the work in. You got to like make the effort here. Throw me a freaking bone.
Yeah, right.
Like I want it. I want that so much you don't even know. But like, come on, man.
And then
and that's my Kraven the Hunter rant.
Did I have?
I've been holding on to that.
Did I have any other superhero ones? I don't think I did. Snow White. We didn't in our D23 news trailer breakdown. We didn't talk about the Snow White. It's Snow White and the green screen soundstage.
I would have taken and the green screen redo.
That movie reeks of studio panic. It just does. It just stinks of studio panic. That's what that trailer looks like. That's what that trailer is. They've been told to make it look like the original fucking cartoon. That's what they've been told to do. It's really obvious. It's really obvious.
And after this, I have a news thing, which I don't know if is news, but I've heard a rumor, and I want to talk to you about it. About Deadpool.
Joe, what do you think about the Snow White trailer?
I I mean, it looks like Snow White. I don't know. Snow White is Snow White. It's pretty hard to fuck up. Just maybe next time hire some actual, represent some actual dwarves,
Yeah,
little
yeah.
people, small people, whatever they like to be called.
Whatever their preferred nomenclature is. Yeah, yeah. And then
Like, if you're gonna do the story about the offensive stereotype, at least have the offensive stereotype represented by, people that should be representing it.
true, 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 true. Stitch looks like Stitch. I was surprised by that.
Yeah, no, I hate no
Hey,
more
look.
live action,
At
no more live
least,
action reboots
at
unless you're
least.
doing ones that would actually lend themselves well to live action, like Treasure Planet or there's another big example that I've heard,
I mean,
but I
I don't
can't
know.
think of it at the top of my mind.
I'm pretty content that at least Stitch sounds and looks right. Like he could have easily not
No.
sounded or looked right.
Yes, you're right, but no.
I'm interested. I'm
No.
obviously interested to see. At this point, I'm like, you know what? And for Penny, I'm curious, obviously, what Gantu and or if indeed they do. I am curious as to see where they attempt to change this, where they attempt to
No,
to crack
because
this.
you'll get a dumb scene where you have like a prequel shot of Bubbles as a CIA member being a Men in Black, and they'll answer 1,000 questions that we didn't ask questions about, and
Okay,
and it'll
fine.
just be another stupid live action remake.
And when you put it
They're
like
all
that.
awful. They're all bad.
No, that's not true.
No.
That's an unfair statement. They're not all awful. Some of them are actually good. It's just a lot of them are awful. I say the ratio are awful.
All right. I'll be fair. 90% of them are bad.
I'd say 75.
90% of them are bad.
90% is too high. So I'd say 75.
No,
Um,
you're wrong.
and then they showed what Harrison Ford's Red Hulk looked like, and it sure looks like Harrison Ford. He's big and red and angry, and he's a whole Hulk. Did you see it? Did you see what he looked like?
I think so. I'm largely indifferent to that. I'm not gonna lie. That movie just reeks of we don't have enough faith in our title character, so we have to throw in the Red Hulk.
Yeah, but the Red Hulk is really cool.
Only if the normal Hulk shows up.
I mean, I don't know. Any Hulk that isn't Smart Hulk is a cool Hulk. And maybe that means regular Hulk will come back.
Doesn't mean much if regular Hulk doesn't show up.
I don't think so. I think regular Red Hulk can stand on his own. He doesn't need regular Hulk.
No, he exists because of Hulk.
Yeah, but you could still have him have Captain America and then fight Red Hulk.
Eh.
All right, be cynical, but I'm interested. I'm fun to see big angry red Harrison Ford.
I just generally don't really have an interest in that movie. I didn't really need more of that of this version of Captain America.
There's enough components in there.
It's not for me. That's kind of
but I'm
what
interested
I'm feeling in this movie.
I'm interested in a Captain America a Captain America movie that's actually a Hulk movie. Like I'm down for that.
I mean, I don't know.
They need to make more Hulk movies.
He's not Captain. Yeah, he's not my Captain America.
Yeah, but again,
they've passed the mantle on to the next generation. I'm stepping aside and letting them enjoy it.
Yeah, but I still want to see him fight Red Hulk, and I'm down for that. I'm down to clown. And then we have Star Wars Skeleton, or we have Star Wars Does the Goonies, which looks fun.
Yeah, that was one that I shared with you too. I sent the trailer to you. I'd seen that one, and it's amazing how not like Star Wars that Star Wars
looks
thing
like the Goonies.
Which again that's not. I said that to you, and you read that as a bad thing. I don't think that's inherently a bad thing. It's just an observation.
It definitely. I saw someone else say the same thing, like they were talking about. And they're like, yeah, Star Wars meets like E.T. or the Goonies, and I'm like,
yeah.
I'm into that.
It's bold, it's a choice, it's something we haven't really seen before, so I'm intrigued. I'm far more interested in that Lego one though.
I was gonna say we might as well talk about that now. I have that in my list. That Lego one looks phenomenal. Like that looks.
Oh my god, it looks
really
like
good.
so much fun.
It looks like so much fun.
It's genuinely.
Yeah.
It very much harkens back, and it makes me think of, in a good way, of the Lego Movie.
Yeah.
That kind of style, like they've leaned into the self
Part of me kind of wishes it.
self-referential, fourth wall breaking kind of humor.
Part of me wishes it wasn't in Lego because I think it would be more fun to see it with regular people. But I still think it looks really funny. I mean, Darth Jar Jar. How could you not find
Darth Jar Jar is
How could
hilarious.
you not find Darth
The
Jar Jar
version of Luke
hilarious?
that they have, and
Yeah.
the fact that they actually managed to get Mark Hamill.
Right. The fact that it's actually Mark Hamill, I think that's what sells the joke so much better. Like, oh yeah.
The fact that you have white suited Darth Vader, and they've brought that into it is hilarious.
Right.
Like, oh, there's so much the fact that these I don't know about all the pieces, but I know some of them anyway, like said Darth Vader, are actual Legos that they're selling.
Oh, that makes sense. It's always a vehicle to sell toys.
So I'm assuming they're all I know the set that sells the Darth Vader, and it's got Darth Vader, Darth Ray, Darth Jar Jar, that version of Luke, Bounty Hunter, C-3PO, and it has the Black Millennium Falcon.
Oh,
That's
that's
the
funny.
set.
Oh, he's
That's
supposed to be
the
a
set.
bounty hunter? That's funny.
That's the set that you can currently buy, and I'm guessing there will be more probably as it comes closer to the release of that.
Probably, yeah. Yeah, probably.
Like you'll probably be able to buy a set which has that the Ewok
Oh, yeah.
Ewok ships and stuff like that. There's a lot of stuff that you see in the trailers that will probably be for sale.
That's hilarious.
But I would be shocked if there wasn't like probably like a Rebel version of the Death Star.
Probably wouldn't surprise me. But I'm looking forward to that.
Considering they had the AT-AT walkers that transformed into the Rebel versions.
Right?
So, but I'm excited for that one.
They revealed Wizards Beyond, the Waverly Place Waverly Place sequel series, and they showed a video trailer for that, and it sure looks like Selena Gomez is only in the pilot. Like it gives real Selena Gomez is only in the pilot vibes.
Or is a guest star and comes back like every 50 episodes.
Yeah, the point being is she doesn't really look like she's in one. She looks like she's in what looks like to be one scene in that trailer, and that's it. That's all she's in. The rest is just David Henry Vanity Project.
Or maybe they could have her back as like a voiceover capacity where she does like the narration on one of the episodes.
The point is it's giving me real reoccurring character vibes.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw people saying it's like, oh, it looks worse than the original. No, it doesn't. It doesn't look like worse than the original. It looks about.
I mean, from what I saw, it looks about the same.
I was just gonna say it looks pretty on par with quality.
Which the original was not like the most amazing thing in the world.
Right.
Like, I know nostalgia is an incredible thing, but
very powerful thing. But
it was kind of just like your every other Disney show at the time, which was fine.
It was fine. And apparently they're doing a Creature of the Black Lagoon remake, and I'm like, this is where I get to say, why?
Do kids even know what that is? Like, wait, is it like a lot, like a for kids or like adults or? Like
I imagine probably for for adults.
What's the content here? Context here?
I don't know. I close the story. I imagine it's probably an adult thing. It sounds like it's an adult thing.
Okay. I'm largely indifferent.
Is the cultural zeitgeist ready for a? I mean, none of those Universal monsters have caught on in terms of modern remakes. So,
no, not really. Not in a major way, anyway.
Not in a major way. And then finally, not a lot of news today. That's okay. I think our main topic today is going to take up a lot of time. But apparently they're making an "Are You Smarter Than a Celebrity?" which it's just kind of like, congratulations,
Are they
guys.
smarter than a celebrity? Do they know things? Maybe they know things. Let's find out.
That's the full name of the show. But no, it's "Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader?" But you're trying to find out if you're smarter than a celebrity.
Yeah, it just sort of feels like they watched that episode of BoJack Horseman where Mr. Peanut Butter was trying to find out if celebrities did or did not know things and whether or not they knew things, and he was going to find out.
My favorite part about that bit is how it sounds like it's going to be a sit-down talk show, but then it's a game show for some reason.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was the news. That was the news for this week.
Deadpool. So I heard, you know how supposedly She-Hulk was supposed to be in it.
Yeah.
I had heard that they supposedly her and Captain Marvel, Brie Larson as Captain Marvel, were supposed to be in it, and what's his name?
Ryan Reynolds.
Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds. Thank you, blanking on his name. He actively like fought against them being in it, pushed hard against it, and apparently Brie Larson is suing.
Really?
Apparently, this is what I've read. They're apparently Marvel slash Disney. They're going to be releasing extended version of Deadpool Wolverine, which is going to have 30 minutes of additional content.
Interesting.
Which apparently Ryan Reynolds is I believe I read he's still trying to fight that scene that Captain Marvel is in from even being in that extended version.
Huh. Oh,
Um,
they shot
and
something?
so yeah, like they actually shot something with
Huh.
Captain Marvel,
Huh.
and he actively fought and had it cut.
Huh. I wonder
Um,
why.
cut from the movie. Because it would have been unpleasant. I know what the scene was supposed to be.
Oh.
Um, so apparently the scene was supposed to be Deadpool. So I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember exactly, but something to the effect of Deadpool curses a lot, and he ends up running into Captain Marvel, and he's cursing a lot, and she starts like badgering him, and like scolding Finger about how like bad language is really bad, and then She-Hulk was supposedly supposed to show up and say how basically guys always curse a lot and have really bad language and like be her awful self. And Captain Marvel, or Captain Marvel was like, the joke was supposed to be basically how She-Hulk is capable of breaking the fourth wall without using a bunch of cursing and language, and how she's the better fourth wall joker. And then Deadpool was supposed to make a joke about like, oh, so does Captain Marvel break the fourth wall too now? And then Captain Marvel was supposed to be really confused and have no idea what he was talking about, but then continue to lecture him about how he shouldn't curse, and it just sounds like it wasn't funny.
Oh. Gotcha.
And like Ryan Reynolds was like saw what She-Hulk did with her humor on the show, realized that his audience wasn't gonna like it, and it was just gonna antagonize people like her show did, and wanted nothing to do with it.
Interesting. Interesting.
That's
Interesting.
what I
If
that's what I
true.
read anyway. Something to that effect anyway.
Interesting if true. Interesting if true.
But I wanted to mention that.
Join us the news. Yeah. Welcome to the sponsorship. Today we have a very special sponsor. Today's the show is sponsored by us. We're sponsoring our own show.
It's me, everybody.
It's us. We're sponsoring. So today's episode is sponsored by the Spur of the Moment podcast. Everybody, come join us every Saturday. We're gonna do this. We're gonna sit here. We're gonna talk about the news. We're gonna talk about movies. We're gonna make some jokes. We're gonna have some laughs. We're occasionally gonna have other people along for the ride, and we're just gonna have a generally good time. We're gonna try to be here on Saturdays at 11 a.m. Sometimes we're gonna be late. Sometimes we're not. It's gonna be a good time. George, do you have anything else you want to say about our podcast? Make people watch it.
We watch movies. Sometimes we watch shows, but we always have fun.
Here, say it with me now, John. On the, you're not saying it
On
with
the
me. On the spur of
spur,
the,
on the spur, on
a
the
spur.
three, two, one. On
On
the
the
spur
spur
of the
of the moment,
podcast moment.
Yeah, we nailed it. Nailed
Spur
it.
of the
That's
moment
what
podcast.
podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's spur of the moment podcast every Saturday. We nailed it.
You can expect awesome content like that.
We cut flawless promos every single week. That's it. We sponsored our own show. We're narcissistic. So this week, everybody, I'm excited because we're gonna talk about we're talking about Tokusatsu again, but this time we're doing Super Sentai versus Ultraman. 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 We're gonna talk about Ultraman versus Super Sentai. So Jordan,
plus some other Japanese stuff as well.
Plus some other Japanese stuff. But anyway, so Jordan, tell me. Let's begin this by saying, tell me about Super Sentai. What is Super Sentai for those of us who have never heard that name before?
Power Rangers, but in Japan.
Go on.
So basically, and this is my fourth grade reading assignment that I'm going to do here, where I'm standing in front of the class. I can't commit to seventh grade. I'm sorry. Super Sentai is basically you've got different ones. So you've got like in English it would be Power Rangers, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. In it, you would have Time Rangers. You would have other ones that I can't think of at the top of my head. I think there's a Dino one. Anyways, you know how you have the different teams that there are for the Power Rangers? Well, before there was those, there was the footage that those use, which is the Japanese version of those teams, which is called Super Sentai. So for the one that I watched, for example, it's the Pirate Sentai, or the Mighty Morphin, it's I don't remember what the name is.
Zoo Ranger.
Zoo Ranger.
Close enough.
Or Time Rangers is just Time Rangers.
Yep. It's just
Because that's a pretty 1-to-1 adaptation. Or you have Magic Ranger, or there's the Car one.
Yeah, Car Ranger, which is just Power
There's
Rangers
a bunch
Turbo.
of different. There's a bunch of different like samurai or ninja. There's a surprising amount of samurai and ninja ones.
Yeah, really
seems like a fairly common theme from what I can ascertain.
That and dinosaur, they love dinosaurs.
Dinosaur, they do dinosaur a lot. Knights, they do knights every now and then.
Yep.
The one they currently are doing is based around like castles and knights.
It's knights and bugs is the current one. They all have bugs.
I didn't realize the bugs. I just knew the knights.
At least if it's the one I'm thinking of, then yeah, it's the knights / bugs.
I just know that there was one that came out in 2023, which is not like the one I looked it up. The poster that came up was 3 rangers that had knight swords and a big castle behind them.
Oh, maybe there's a new one. So, what is your first? We'll do this in the rapid fire fashion. What is your first Sentai that you watched this week? First rapid fire.
Are we only talking about Sentai, or are we talking about other stuff too? Because I watched other things. I didn't watch that much Sentai.
Fair. Then let's start with the Sentai, and then we'll do other stuff at the end.
Okay. So the Sentai that I had time to watch, because it was a busy week. I had to watch a lot of Pirate Sentai, and that took up a lot of hours. But I did watch both the English and Japanese version of the Mighty Morphin, the ZU Ranger.
Yeah.
ZU Ranger?
It's pronounced Jew Ranger.
Like Jew Ranger?
Yeah, like Jew, like dreidel.
Jew Ranger. Anyway, I watched the Green with Evil episodes and then their Japanese counterparts, which I mean, I'm gonna say it, from the 5 or 6 episodes of both that I watched, I personally think the Sentai is better.
It is differently intentioned. So like, I like aspects of like when it's more serious, but when it's goofy, it's goofier. That's how I would put it.
Yeah, in terms of these episodes in particular, it's just the English version. It's like, okay, Tommy gets brainwashed, which is boring.
Yeah.
Whereas in the Japanese version, it's like he gets released after being locked away after a long many years.
Yeah, he's pissed.
And he's pissed because the Red Ranger, or at least what the Red Ranger thinks is his father, it's his adoptive father, killed the Green Ranger's father, and you find out that the Green Ranger is actually the Red Ranger's brother, and the Green Ranger is pissed because he thinks that the Red Ranger's dad killed his dad, and then so he wants to fight, and so your version of Rita Repulsa, who is
Bandora.
Juno? Bandora. Bandora is basically just like, hey, you hate them, work with me.
Also,
and he's like, you know what? Okay.
Also, her
Whereas
backstory.
in the English version, it's just like, Mind control. You work for me, and it just seems really
her
lazy.
her backstory in the Japanese version is way more interesting too. Like her son got killed. Like basically, her son tried to steal a dinosaur egg and got caught, so the dinosaur killed him. And she now hates all of dinosaurs because of that. And she was like the leader. Basically, all of the rangers in that series are all representatives of a tribe. So like the Red Ranger is representative of like the Tyranno tribe, so on and so forth. And she is a representative of a particular tribe. And she's not evil at first. And how she became evil is the son gets killed and like she vows revenge and like makes pat with Satan. Basically, they call him Die Satan. And yeah, and she
Interesting.
seeks revenge. Yeah,
I just know that the '90s version, especially those early episodes, the Power Rangers, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, is very campy.
oh
Like
very.
very
There we
campy.
go.
Way more than the version than what I saw of the Sentai.
Yeah,
The,
yeah,
the
definitely.
Sentai just doesn't feel as campy.
They also
Um,
involve a lot. The '90s Sentai has a certain kind of acting, and it involves a lot of child actors, and they're not very good.
in the Japanese one, you mean?
Yeah, there's a lot of
I
episodes
mean,
that it's usually like
there was a few, but they
there's a
weren't that
yeah.
bad.
There's a
Not
lot.
as
There's
bad.
a
Not as bad as English child actors
Nah,
are.
there's a lot of episodes where it's just about kids, and you're like, oh, this is. And the Jew Rangers don't really get to be characters; they're just kind of there to do an action sequence. Like in later stuff, they get to be characters. But anyway, yeah,
Um, but yeah, that was two of the things that I spent like most of my evening watching because 5 episodes is a lot, man. You
yeah,
sort of don't really think about that when I say that on like, but 5 episodes, 30 episodes a piece. That's like a 2.5 hour movie.
right. Um,
Um, so that being said, my other two things were other movies that had nothing to do with Sentai.
fair. Um, so for me, I chose Ultraman. How to explain Ultraman? Ultraman is Godzilla, but a guy. I know I keep saying that, but it really turned out that it really was because um, you
I would
obviously
have said, I would have said he's Big Common Rider.
yeah no it's really more closer to Godzilla, but a guy because he's made by he was created by Subaraya, who is the special effects company that made Godzilla. So it's not Toho, but they're the guys who did the suits and the costumes and all that stuff.
Oh, interesting.
And so a lot of early Ultraman monsters are just Godzilla characters in disguise. Like Godzilla character, like the first monster he ever fights is just Godzilla with different pieces on top of him, and it's the Godzilla from Godzilla versus Mothra. And and
And
and
so and so Ultraman is an alien possessing a human.
okay, so we'll start off with the Ultra series, which is where Ultraman comes from. Ultraman is not the first. The first Ultra series is literally just a team of people and they fight kaiju's. That's it. It isn't until Ultraman in 1967, I believe. Hold on. 1966. Yeah, 1967. Ultraman comes out, and yeah, so basically, how Ultraman works. I still love Ultraman Rising, but that movie really doesn't understand Ultraman. Um, so Ultraman basically is chasing an evil monster kaiju through space, and it crash lands. And in that crash, it kills a man. And Ultraman merges with the guy to save his life, basically. And he gives him I think they call it a beta capsule, but it's a stick. And every time he uses the stick, he turns into
Yeah,
Ultraman.
it's a beta capsule.
Yeah. Okay. So every time wait, how do you know? Oh yeah, right, right,
Uh,
right, right, right.
I know that because it was in Ready Player
Yeah,
One.
yeah. So every
He
time
uses the beta capsule
And so
transform.
when I was watching it, I'm like, and then it kind of becomes they fight a monster. That's kind of it. Week to week, episode to episode, they just fight a monster, beat the bad guy. It's kind of interesting because Ultraman, his fighting style is he's just doing judo, so he's like grabbing people and doing judo flips. And what I discovered with Ultraman is because he has to maintain the illusion of being big, and because the kaiju costumes are kind of clunky, the fighting is less interesting. It's not as interesting as Kamen Rider or Super Sentai. because it has to be gigantic. It's effectively like if every fight sequence was the Megazord battles from the episode.
Yeah, that would get big and clunky.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing for me was like, I was like, what does the stick do? Like, what is the stick doing? Is he so?
It would kind of be like in the Green with Evil episodes before Tommy gets the Zord, when Rita makes him gigantic, and he's fighting as the Green Ranger but giant against the Megazord,
Yeah.
and he's moving slower because it's supposed to represent that he's bigger, and he's like, yeah, and it's like he still moves faster than like the monsters or the Zordon or the Zords, but he's still slow by comparison.
I mean, sometimes they're not concerned with it, and he moves at like at a regular speed. But there's times where there's transformations that are hilarious because 5 of them like land with a heavy thud, and the area around them explodes, and it's like, yeah, all those people in that area are dead. They're all dead now.
See, what they should have done for the Sentai dude is they should have had a power where he goes like this or whatever, and he holds his fin, and it gives him super speed, and then he could just move at normal speed while the other guys are slow.
Right. But no, watching him, it's just very funny. Like, there's an episode later on where there's an evil Ultraman, and there's just something really upsetting about like a guy just like beating up a city, like instead of a monster for some reason. It's like, this is weird and upsetting. I don't like this. But it's otherwise it's a kaiju show from the 1960s. It has even less of a budget than Godzilla does. But what's funny is, yeah, when they call them on the phone, it's the sound Mothra makes. So it's just all yeah. So it's just all this. It's really tied. It's tied to Godzilla way more than you kind of realize. But that's the original Ultraman. That's my first one. What is your next thing?
My next thing, which again has nothing to do with Sentai, was I watched the Netflix Full Metal Alchemist live action movie, which I later found out there was 3 of them, so we may be revisiting those later at a different time. But I watched the first one.
I heard that one of those live action anime movies is the least bad one.
It definitely feels like Full Metal Alchemist, I'll say that. Like the Ed in the armor, does the 3D look a little cheap? Yeah, for the suit, I think so. But he looks like him from the comic. All of the actors, I think, do a fairly good job of doing their anime counterparts. But I mean, I always kind of feel with these live action, and I felt this with the Bleach one that I watched too. Spoiler alert for my next pick. When you're doing, I don't understand the concept of a live action anime movie.
No, I don't
generally.
either. I don't either. I've never understood
because the point of anime is it's doing fantastical things that just you can't do in live action.
Right?
So to then try and take that and put it into live action, it never looks right.
No.
It always looks bad.
The title, it's always like you're either doing the lines that characters wouldn't do, so it feels weird, or they're doing the lines from the thing, but it sounds badly.
Yeah,
it's always
and that's that's again not even talking about the visuals.
Yeah, it just looks like people are in cosplay 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, and that's kind of my thing with this movie is it's like it for a lot of the characters it looks like cosplay, and it's good cosplay, like it's expensive looking cosplay.
Yeah.
But it still kind of just feels like cosplay to me.
Exactly.
Did you that's pretty much all I have to say about that Full Metal Alchemist live action one. I assume the second 2 I would have that same opinion, but I haven't seen them yet. So
following Ultraman, there's the next series, which is called
Ultraman 2.
No, kind of.
Return of the Kaiju.
So it's called Ultra 7. And the thing with Ultra 7 is, it wasn't specifically a sequel to Ultraman. It wasn't meant to be connected to Ultraman, but he still looks like an Ultraman. But what's interesting is he doesn't use a stick, he puts on glasses. And I was going to watch the last episode to see where it goes. I didn't. This one, though, the thing about, actually, I forgot to mention about the first one. The thing about Ultraman is it's always Ultraman, and we mentioned it before, the Science Squad, or a variation of the Science Squad. And the Science Squad is never interesting. The whole bit is they drive vehicles and they fight the monsters in vehicles, and they're never fun to watch. And you're constantly just waiting for Ultraman to show up. Like, that's the kind of show it is. Like, I just want
Sounds
Ultraman to
accurate.
show up. So the next series is now it's in the future, and they're like it's usually like they're like some paramilitary outfit, and they're trying to find monsters. Same deal, except for this time, what I discovered was Ultraman appears in two flavors. Either he has a host, he has a human host. Oh, the one of the things that the movie gets wrong is the movie gives you that the Ultraman Rising movie is it gives you the impression that when the guy turns into Ultraman, he is Ultraman, but the Ultramen are their own entities. Like they have their own
Yeah, well,
personalities, they have their own
that's where I
beings.
thought they possessed him, like they possessed the human.
It's more of a symbiosis. Like they're one being essentially.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay, so it's like a fusion dance.
yeah. And so when he uses the Beta capsule, I'll get there because they Shin Ultraman. If you want to understand Ultraman, we're gonna get there. Is the best Ultraman. But from that movie, it's described as when he uses it, it summons his body from his Ultraman body from another dimension, and that so when he's using it, that's what's happening. But because I'm like, I don't understand the mechanics of how his melding with the Ultraman works. Because Ultraman, he talks, he has his own personality, he has his own being, and at the end of every season, he leaves, and the person goes back to being normal.
So is it kind of like Doctor Strange or Doctor Fate when he puts on the helmet and he gets possessed by like the greater being, and it's like he's still there, but the greater being is kind of riding the meat suit, as it were?
I didn't watch enough of these series to really get a good idea to answer that. All what I would say is it depends on the series. It looks like
Okay.
when they're together, like when he turns into Ultraman, he is 100% in control, but of the body. But like Ultraman is there, if that makes any sense.
So like a Yami Yugi kind of thing.
No, kind of Yami Yugi, but like if Yami was the human,
Like
I
where
guess.
no, like where Yami is the one who's in control of the body and Yugi keeps talking to him as a spirit.
Again, it depends on the Ultraman, but yes, yes.
Okay, I guess I'm not getting it then.
No, neither did I. That's kind of my point. Is the rules of how Ultraman's relationship to his human host works are if they explain it well, I missed it. It's never really and
Because I'm asking you these questions, you're not able to give me a straight answer, and it's making me confused and angry.
yeah, because it depends. Like there are certain Ultraman where their human body is just their Ultraman in disguise, and then there's other ones where like Ultraman like will appear like the Ultraman Ginga, the show I'm gonna talk about. He'll appear to him in like his mind as a separate being, and they will have a conversation. So it depends
The
on
fact
the.
that the fact that you can't give a straight answer just tells me that this is poorly written and bad.
Well, to be fair, it's like a 30-year-old franchise, and it depends on the
And
season.
and in
And
Japanese.
it's in Japanese, yeah. So it's changed a bunch over the years, and I gleaned what I could. But the important part is Ultra Seven originally wasn't an Ultraman. He was an Ultraman. He was a separate hero. It wasn't until later that he became an Ultraman. That's Ultra Seven. What's your next thing?
My last thing is I watched the live action Bleach movie, which for all the good things that I had to say about the good level of cosplay in the Full Metal Alchemist one, I kind of have to just go watch the anime.
Yeah, I've
If you
heard it's
want to watch
bad.
Bleach, if you want to go watch Bleach, just go watch the anime. This is like a supremely rushed version of the show, and I mean that's the story of all of these
Yeah,
movies,
pretty
where it's
much.
just
Yeah.
a rushed version of 3 seasons of anime put into one like 2 hour long thing, and it's like it's never going to be as good as the original. Doesn't
No.
look as good as the original. I kind of faded out there for a bit where it didn't pass the phone test, and I was on my phone and I looked up and I was like, okay, what part of the anime is this? And I knew enough to kind of get by, but like that's not a great thing for your movie,
Yeah.
really.
Um.
Like if you're gonna do a live action movie, I guess this would be my summation of live action anime movies. And this is a hot take because it didn't work with Dragon Ball. But if you're gonna do an anime movie, don't do the show
No.
at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah. Do a new
Do
thing.
it do like its own contained unique story with the characters, but like as if it was like basically like as if it was an anime movie where it's like it's a self-contained thing that could have happened in the show, and it just happens to be in live
Yeah, but
action.
they always feel the need to explain what this shit is. Like, oh, we need to do the first one where it's the origin story.
Yeah, no, don't do
Yeah,
that.
they never learn they never learn the lesson.
They never learn the lesson.
They never
Because
learn
when
the
you try to
lesson.
just do the show, again, it's just a lesser quality. And that's my issue with the live action Disney movies too. To tie it back to our news article, is it's like when you do a live action version, it's just I've seen this movie, it was in animation and it was better.
Right? Yeah, right.
Like
Um,
it's never what you want it to be.
it's never
So
what you want it to be.
that was my last rapid fire.
So I got
I
three
assume you
more.
I assume you have 17 more because you're you and you have nothing but time.
I have three
Um
more, but I don't have a ton to say about really any of them, so I can do them fast. Um, my next one is it's called Ultraman the Next, and it's just a remake of the original show, but in then modern times. That's kind
so
of
like from the 90s.
2003.
Oh, even more
Yeah,
modern than I was expecting.
yeah, and it's all right. The thing with Ultraman or even Godzilla movies is you just spend a great deal of time waiting for Ultraman to show up. That's kind of one of those things, but
Yeah.
it's otherwise the same. It's a newer, updated version of the original show. I don't think the suit design looked especially great in it. Um, we're gonna skip to the next one, which is called. It's all right. It's all right. It's not one of the better one of these. Now, a Mega Monster Battle Ultra Galaxy. The thing about
God,
Ultraman.
some of these names,
The thing
man.
about Ultraman is there's like 1,000 of them. There's 1,000 shows. There's 1,000 movies. There's spin-offs of spin-offs. I read at one point it held the world record for the amount of spin-offs. So there's just no way you can watch it all. But you kind of start to realize at a point that all of these Ultramen look the same. And the question I had was,
And feel the same.
and feel the same, but more importantly, look the same. I
That
got
was kind of
curious.
that was kind of the thing because you know with the Pirate Sentai how I started it early and I did it like last week as well. That was kind of why I didn't just want to sit down and watch 17 different like 2 or 3 episodes of 17 different Sentai is because at a certain point they start to feel the
They
same.
start to feel the same. And so the question I was curious about was there an evil Ultraman? Was there ever an evil Ultraman? Because when I was researching this character, it turns out it's got this is the point where it gets convoluted. It turns out it has a surprisingly convoluted backstory. There's like 17 Ultramen, probably less than that. There's Ultra Dad and Ultra Mom, who are the parents of like this, that, and that Ultraman, who are all brothers. And there's a series of them called the Brothers. And yeah, there's one that was really popular called Ultraman Zero, who doesn't have his own series but appeared in a series of movies and other ones. And so there's an Ultraman called Ultraman Belial. Belial, I'm almost entirely sure I'm mispronouncing that. And he became corrupted by so okay. Back to the beginning. The backstory of Ultraman is they originally all looked like humans. They all looked like us. And they discover like a magical power source that they absorb, and that turns them into the Ultra people. That's why they look the way they do.
Okay.
Um,
That sounds very Japanese.
yeah, yeah. And so they're from M78, the designation. That's not their planet. That's the part of the galaxy that they're from. Their planet is called the Land of Light. So they're from the Land of Light.
Well, howdy duh. My planet's just called dirt.
And so there's a bunch of planets in the M58 sector that are evil, and that's where kaiju come from. And a big thing I meant to mention earlier, it's funny that movie, Ultraman Rising, has Ultraman take a moral stance against killing kaiju because Ultraman does not have that moral stance in the actual show, in any of his shows. Any of the Ultramen, none of them have a moral qualm about killing kaiju. Not a one. They will kill kaiju.
Because they're vermin that need to be eliminated.
And so this one is like basically
You're not disagreeing.
that's the way they usually work for someone. That's the thing. They work for like an evil alien. That's kind of the whole deal. An evil alien shows up, they're the bad guy, and then they control the kaiju. That's how it works typically. Um, but this one, Mega Monster Battle Ultra Galaxy, the evil Ultraman escapes from prison and amasses a
Ultra Prison?
yeah, pretty much, and amasses an army of kaiju, and it's just like 5 or 6
Ultra Kaiju?
Sure, it's like 5 or 6 Ultraman all fighting monsters, and there's the movie.
Because what I'm getting from this universe is that if it has Ultra in front of it, that makes it impressive.
Yes. And the first 15 minutes of it, 17 minutes of it almost, is just one long action sequence of Ultramen fighting each other. And it's really funny because they're on their own planet, there's no attempt to make them seem big. So they like Ultraman, turns out he's a very agile and overpowered superhero. Like, he has varying degrees of being able to create like Dragon Ball Z style like energy blasts that are just kind of all varying degrees of being able to do this, or like at one point
that was it.
he creates a big like ball and like and it's just if you realize that when you see all of the Ultramen talking to each other and engaging with each other, that they all look the same, like all of them look the same. Like,
but is that a bad thing?
kind of, because it makes them hard to follow. And like, you're like, which one? It does. A lot of these seasons do that thing where they present a character as if you should know who they are. It's like, I don't recognize this thing. It's not iconic enough for me to recognize it. And then yeah. So that's that. It's a fun movie if you like. It reminded me a lot of the pirate one, the anniversary one, where it's like, I don't know what's going on. A lot's happening, but it's action figures bashing against each other. I'm having fun. And then finally,
where it's like you didn't really need to know what was going on.
Right? Yeah, I got it. I got what's going on. And then lastly, my last rapid fire, Ultraman Tiga. I watched the dub for Ultraman Tiga, and it was very funny because the lead character is just Joey. Mai's in there, and it's just generally not exceptionally great. It's live action dub, but for kids. So it's taking what is a show that is intended for 15 to 16-year-olds and dumbing it down to like a show for 10-year-olds.
So Power Rangers.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's the first time that it presents Ultraman as having a different power set. So the gimmick with that season is he can change between speed, power, and I think it's like agility mode. And so like one of his outfits, Ultraman's outfit is generally red, but in that season he could turn into like a blue outfit, and he had like speed mode. And once again, it's just him fighting kaiju. And the thing I kind of discovered with Ultraman's kaiju is like they are kind of varied and interesting, but for like the most part they just kind of become the same. I'm excited to get to Go Kaiju because I have a point I want to make about that compared to these Ultraman shows where it's like they want these characters to feel iconic, but for me they don't. Not in the same way that like Sentai, I could tell when I was watching it, like this character is iconic. Like I feel like this character is iconic.
It's just by the way they present it.
Yeah, exactly. There's a reverence. There's a reverence paid to it. But that's it. That's all my Ultraman related rapid fire. It's fun. He's a fun character. I have more to say, obviously. I got more Ultraman coming. But that's it for the rapid fire.
So I guess we should do our have scenes.
It's time for haves. It's time for main report. It's time for the main report. It's where we do the main report. Throw in a little guitar lick there.
Ding 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 ding.
No, you had it, and then you went too far. You had it, and then you just kept going.
Ding 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 ding.
Go on.
Ding 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 ding.
I'm ashamed of you. I'm ashamed of you. Go on.
So what were we doing? What were we talking about? What are we doing right now? Where are we? What's going on? Who am I?
We're doing have scenes, Jordan.
Oh, right. I do have kind of a theme with the have scenes. It's not Sentai, but it is Japanese.
Japanese.
We're going to do this in the same order that I watched it so that you can experience the same emotions that I felt when I watched these movies. We're going to start off Godzilla -1,
God, it's such a good movie.
which it's not a movie, Justin. It's art.
It is art. It is an
It's
experience.
art. It is taking a movie about a gigantic lizard and turning it into this artistic movie about war and the consequences of a suicide. Spoilers, by the way. Consequences of a suicide bomber not suiciding, kamikazing. Sorry. It's about the rebuilding of Japan just to have a nuclear bomb dropped on them. I'm sorry, Godzilla, to have Godzilla dropped on them a second time. And it's a fantastic movie. It was one of the okay. So I'm gonna be honest here with you, Justin. When a movie is in Japanese, I have to focus just on it, or I get lost. And because I can't wander or do any other thing, the very first thing my brain wants to do is wander and do other things. And I have terrible impulse control. So for a great number of the things that I watched, I zoned out for parts of it, came back and had to skip back a little bit to kind of realize what was happening.
That happened to me a few times.
This was the only movie, and this speaks to it, like to how good it is. This is the only movie I did not have to do that in. Because it's just
movie.
it's enrapturing.
It's
and I am not
so
being paid
good.
to say this, so you know it must be true.
It's so good.
So tell me your feelings on this work of art, Justin.
I mean,
You've heard me. I've sung its praises here. Now it's your time to get down on your knees and blow. Worship Godzilla -1
at the shrine. No, it's genuinely very good. It deserves that Oscar. I love. I mean, you know me. I've said this before about this movie. I love its use of perspective. I love how it switches from Godzilla's perspective to the people's perspective. Like you really get a sense of like what it feels like to have Godzilla walk through a building you're in.
Right.
Like, it's just it takes stuff about Godzilla that you're supposed to like.
He doesn't even look down. Like he's just marching his way through the town as if it's not even there, and it's like. That's terrifying.
Well, that's funny because it's like, yeah, this movie pays consideration to it, and it's funny because I've been watching Ultraman, which doesn't. There's a really funny, really long sequence of like 4 or 5 of them all transforming into Ultraman, and it ends with, I think I mentioned this, but it ends with all of them just landing on the ground, and they've paid such attention to like the fact that Ultraman's a giant person and he weighs a lot, so when they all hit the ground, you're like, yeah, every person in that area is dead. They're dead. They're all dead.
Certainly there would be a gigantic earthquake in the surrounding area.
Right.
One thing that I was tempted by, because I saw that it was on Netflix, was there was the black and white version.
I hear it's good. I'm told it's good.
Which was on Netflix, which I was tempted to, but I was like, you know what? I'm already sacrificing English.
Right.
I don't want to also sacrifice color.
Will not sacrifice color.
But so that's the. I'm interested to see, because at the end of this one, they obviously have that scene where it looks like Godzilla is starting to like rebuild and come back as Godzilla 2. Because he died, Justin. So even if his body regrows, he's now Godzilla 2.
He's gonna be Godzilla too.
He's a ship of Theseus situation here, where all of the parts have been replaced, and thus he's a different Godzilla. But so that's my first have seen.
Yeah.
What Ultraman movie are you now going to tell me about? Because apparently you had a theme.
I did. Ultraman. That was the theme we were supposed to have. No, I'm kidding. My first one is.
Hey, in my defense, what could I pick for have seen?
That is true. Next time, they could pick Gokaiger.
I don't want to watch this again for a long period, Justin.
Winky face. No. My first one is an Ultraman.
That being said, there are some specials that I could pick.
My first have seen is not technically Ultraman. Technically, it's not.
You
technically.
Filthy cheater!
It's not technically Ultraman.
I said, you filthy cheater. He says after he just did Godzilla.
Yeah. I've picked for my first one the original, because there's actually more than one. Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad.
Isn't that just Power Rangers?
I mean, it's Power Rangers, but for Ultraman. It's Matthew Lawrence, and there's the evil Kilokon, voiced by
Matthew Lawrence, like Mrs. Doubtfire, Boy Meets
Yeah,
World,
yeah,
Matthew Lawrence?
yeah. It's a young Matthew Lawrence. You've seen this show. We grew up watching it.
I have not seen this show.
You absolutely have seen this show. We grew up watching
I
it.
have no memory of this show.
He gets sucked into the computer. You know what? Screw it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna open up the theme song right now. Jordan, you have the stream open?
I do, but I'd have to turn the sound down on mine, and it's gonna. I guess I can mute my mic and then watch it there.
Yes, you can. Are you ready? One day I'm gonna learn from Jake how to actually queue up clips properly, but until then, tell me when you're ready.
Not on mine. I'm giving you a thumbs up.
Pouches and sketchbooks
and you're gonna need a bigger backpack.
Freaking ads. Poor Soraya on Spotify. No, that's not it. No. Dang it.
The evil Kilocon lives inside computer circuits. With the help of Malcolm Frink, he creates megavirus monsters to attack electronic systems. Meanwhile, a freak accident turns Sam Collins into Servo. His friends join forces in
And the quality on this looks like shit.
Together they transform into the Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad. Superhuman Samurai.
Like that quality though.
They're gonna amp it up. She's a gigabyte. They're gonna rip it up. A hero always makes the cut. Superhuman Samurai. Superhuman Samurai.
That sure looked like crap. Oh no, it's playing stuff. Shh. We're probably gonna get copyright struck for that. Joins on the YouTube delay. We're gonna give him a minute to catch up.
Yeah, I have no memory of that.
You don't remember it at all? Yeah, we definitely watched that show as kids. But it's so in the English version, which is what I watch. So it's based off of a show called SS Gridman, and what makes this show different from Power Rangers is Subaraya directly helped make it. So it is very much like Time Ranger and Time Force is a pretty well one-to-one adaptation. There's the evil virus guy. He's manipulating another student to create the viruses, and you have Gridman shows up as he's an interdimensional superhero, and he takes over this video game character that they create, and then that becomes Gridman, and it's just Ultraman. It's just Ultraman in a computer. This show, however, it's a computer program again, but he doesn't have his independent thought. It's just a program. So when he goes into the computer, he's literally Servo. So it's not like Ultraman where it's like they're working together like as one being. He just becomes Servo, and then it's fun because it takes place in a computer. They don't have to concern themselves with like having to worry about civilians. So the action sequences are quite a bit more fluid and more fun. It also has he puts on, as you saw in the theme song, he puts on becomes the big like Megazord version of Servo, where he's got all the robot pieces, and it's the same deal. He's got his little side squad, which in this case is his friends, who all have their own little spaceships or whatever that they go in. And the thing I learned this time was I could never figure out why it was called the Cyber Squad or the Samurai Cyber Squad. Apparently, that's the name of the band that they're in the show. It's the Samurai Squad. Yeah. Jordan, do you have any questions about Superhuman Samurai Squad? I could tell you do.
Okay, so they're going into the computer.
Yes.
To fight against like a AI.
Yes, pretty much. Yes, a really advanced AI played by Tim Curry.
Like by Tim Curry.
By Tim Curry. Yeah.
Really? They got Tim Curry on this.
He's amazing. He's so good. He like
This-
makes this
so-
show.
Was this Disney?
No, that's the thing. It is no, this was Subaraya. So it's the company. It's not Saban. They brought it here with hold on, with another company, and it just didn't do well. For whatever reason, it wasn't really all that successful until they brought it back as an anime.
When did it come out around the same time as Power Rangers?
Yes, yeah, it was. It's one. It's
that's why it didn't do well.
It's during that period of time where they've got all those Power Ranger knockoffs. So like, you've got
that's why it didn't do well, is because Power Rangers was doing too well and it was stealing all the anybody that might have been interested in it.
Yeah,
was already engaged with Power Rangers.
Which is why we got into it, was because we were engaged with Power Rangers. But
I have no memory of it, which clearly means that it doesn't have the same cultural zeitgeist that Power Rangers did.
94 to 95, April 11th, September 12th.
Okay, so no wonder I don't remember it. I was like 4 or 5.
Yeah, but it has 53 episodes. Like there was a number of episodes.
I'm sure there is. But at 4 or 5, my memory isn't that good.
No, but I mean, I remember watching it when I was like 9 or 10. It survived into syndication. The thing that this show kind of made me go, I can't believe Ultraman I can't believe they couldn't make this stick in America in a significant way, because it's so easy to adapt. It would be so easy to utilize this footage. Instead of doing what they did with Tiga, which turned it into a dub, do a Power Rangers thing where it's, you know what I mean? Like surely there's kids out there who want to turn into Ultraman. Like, I cannot believe that like this did not catch on, and this show absolutely made me think that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big dumb monster. Whether or not he is actually a monster, he's monster sized and he's fighting monsters.
Yeah,
he's a big dumb monster.
Yeah,
have it be where it's like Power Rangers, where half the show is a North American thing, where you can just have it in full English, no dub at all. And then you can have the parts where he's fighting just be the footage from the thing, from the old show, and you could have dub voiceover stuff at that point, and it looks fine. We know that because of Power Rangers.
Exactly. Yeah. It's the same thing with Kamen Rider. I always say, like, I can't believe that show didn't catch on. I guess because you're right, because Power Rangers is there, and that's all the kids needed. They just needed Power Rangers.
That's all they were interested in.
Yeah, that's all they were interested in. Yeah.
I remember growing up and like that was all anybody wanted. Like, I remember having the gloves and the boots.
Yeah, I remember that too.
I think I had the red ones, and that was all you needed. So for there to have a second team, it's like, I mean, this is cool, but it's like, there's a great comparison where it's like there's a cartoon. I don't remember what the cartoon is, but there's a cartoon where the kid is the kid is like asking his parent for the Pokemon, and she gets him the Digimon, and I think it was a Dorkly video, where he's like, I didn't want a Digimon, Mom, I wanted a Pokemon, and Agumon is like, oh, I gotta go to the bathroom now. You gotta take me to the bathroom, and it's like, that's kind of what this is like, where it's like, it's not Pokemon, it's not power, like, Beetleborgs are cool, Ma, but they're not Power Rangers cool.
Yeah.
Like, it's like what your mom got you. She got you the Beetleborg toys because she couldn't afford the Power Ranger toys. That's what it would have been like.
My thing though is like he's such a long running character. There's so much footage that you can like with Beetleborgs and that they ran out of footage. But with Ultraman, he's been around for years. My argument is I think he's modern stuff. I don't think he's lended himself as nearly as well to the modern era as Kamen Rider or Sentai has, but I mean, maybe an Ultraman fan would disagree with me.
I can't speak to it. I haven't seen it.
It's another one of those like the bad kid is basically just an incel as well.
I mean, that would be tiresome.
His whole thing is like he hates women and he wants to like punish them for not like he's literally just an incel. And he usually creates the viruses to like teach a lesson. And there's a really funny newscaster character who appears in every episode just to tell you what's going on. It's like, oh, there's something happening at the water plant, and the virus is attacking the water plant. And then Servo has to go fight him at the water plant. And then there's like a life lesson.
He's just their Alpha 5.
Kinda. Well, no. This is it's just a random newscaster. So no.
No, I know, but the function of Alpha 5 is to be like, Rangers, you're needed at the da is my point.
Well, he has like the computer that
he
he
serves
goes
that
to.
function.
So like that more is it, but I get your point. Yeah. But otherwise it's on YouTube. You can find it on YouTube. It's a fun show. It's a real fun throwback. Yeah. Again, it's a kid show that makes me go like, yeah, this in another form. Maybe not in this form, but in another form, Ultraman could work for America. Like I fully believe it could.
I don't know. I don't know.
But anyway, that's superhero samurai cyber squad. I make sure to write down the full name so I could say the full name every single time. So what's your next had seen?
Well, okay. So I want you to put yourself in my position. It's Thursday. You've just watched Godzilla -1, and you're like,
You're emotionally
okay.
wrecked.
You're emotionally wrecked. You're like, this was a piece of art, and I've committed myself to watching another Godzilla movie. And you watch Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla.
Which one?
And you're like, the one that came out in 1974.
So the first one.
I think it's the first one.
Yeah, that seems like the first one because there's
as I've read it's like the 16th of the Godzilla movies or something.
There's like 3 or 4 Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla movies. He's a recurring character. He comes back a lot.
Oh, I don't know. All I know is that the movie is titled Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla.
And let me guess.
It's not titled like The Return of Mechagodzilla.
Yeah, fair.
So
And let me guess, it's really boring.
It came out in 1974. It was never going to hold up against the masterpiece of Godzilla -1 that came out.
You're like,
much
I just
more
want Godzilla to show up.
I mean, no, more than that. It was I just want Mechagodzilla to show up.
Right.
And he wasn't in it enough. There was other ones that were in there too. Hold on, I can tell you. Anguirus is in it, and King Caesar is in it.
Is that the one where he shows up at the beginning and he's disguised as Godzilla and he's wrecking shit, and then he fights Godzilla and all his skin? I love that scene though. That scene is legitimately good.
Oh, and that's where I want to say, don't get me wrong, I appreciate this movie for what it is. It's a guy in a big dumb suit. Like, they're all guys in big dumb suits. And I love that for Godzilla. It's just, after watching an emotionally and compelling movie, which won awards like Godzilla -1, it's kind of a step down.
Yeah, a little bit. But it's always funny to me. Those movies are the ones that make me go, when people are like, oh, there's too many human characters in my Godzilla. I'm like, you haven't watched enough Godzilla.
Oh, there were so many human characters in this. And I got to be honest, like I said, I faded out a little bit.
Couldn't
I
remember
didn't really
a single one.
I don't really feel like I missed anything with that.
Yeah, I did when I did Jake's podcast for the first time. Yeah, I got to about movie 6 or 7. And I'm like, out of step, these are all exactly the same. They're all exactly the same movie.
Oh yeah, if you read the wiki, wiki for this this one of the things that it says is that by this point it knows its formula, it follows its formula, and people are pretty content with the formula.
Pretty much, yeah. It really contemporarily it reminds me the most of the MCU in terms of like, yeah, by that point it's chugging along. It knows what it's doing. It's playing the hits. That's what that movie is.
Yeah. So I don't have a lot more to say about this one. This might be one of our shortest episodes yet.
I mean, we're up to we got hour and 20. We're at an hour 20. We're gonna hit 2 hours.
That's all my have scenes.
I mean, yeah,
and I only have the one have not seen.
This is one of those ones where
it's a big one, but
it's one of those things where like. There's only so many ways you could be like, they punch a monster and it's cool looking, like,
right? Especially when they're wearing a big dumb rubber suit.
Yeah, right. There's only so many ways I could be like, yeah, it's cool looking and it was ahead of its time. So my final have seen is a movie. So background, there's a series of directors. They created a movie called Shin Godzilla. The concept being, sorry, I got the hiccups. The concept being, what if Godzilla took place in the real world? How would the real life Japanese government sort of react to the existence of Godzilla. And I think Shin Godzilla Godzilla Minus One kind of does a similar thing of like the socio-political existence of Godzilla. It's like the American government wouldn't care until it benefited them. And that's kind of what makes that movie interesting. It's also like a commentary on lazy government bureaucracy and red tape. And so
that sounds like that reminds me of Godzilla Minus One.
Yeah, it's a lot of similar themes.
Where it's like
I don't
it's
like
middle,
Shin Godzilla as much,
near the Cold War, and America and Russia are basically like, yeah, deal with your own problem. We got our own shit going on over here.
Pretty much. And so they made a trilogy or a series of these where it was Shin Ultraman and Shin Kamen Rider. I watched Shin Ultraman. In my opinion, the best of the three. And it very much is what if Ultraman existed in the real world. And for as much as I was like, Ultraman Rising is a real good entryway into this franchise, it is. But that one is more like in a way that's approachable. This one is a really great entry point if you want to understand what Ultraman is and what his deal is to a degree. It does kind of, for the sake of drama, change some stuff about the character. It makes it more cold. It makes the ultra beings more I don't know how to describe it. Militant, I guess. Like they're ultimately the antagonists at the end of the movie. But what's really kind of interesting is now, having watched the original show, is this movie is an adaptation of like 3 episodes of the show. Basically, the first little bit of it is the first few episodes where during the course of a battle, Ultraman kills this poor guy and becomes him in order to kind of blend in and figure out what it's like to be human. He becomes him. So he essentially turns into human. And that's where in that movie, they're like, when the beta capsule basically allows you to summon your Ultraman body from another dimension for a limited amount of time, but it causes a great amount of energy, so you have to get rid of it. And he turns back into like the human. And the first little bit of the movie is an alien shows up and says that he's friendly, essentially, and that Ultraman is evil. And he kidnaps Ultraman and disguises himself as Ultraman and like destroys attacking the city. And the real Ultraman appears and fights him or whatever and defeats him. And then another evil alien shows up, and it turns out that what's interesting of the difference in this one is the kaiju are, once again, like they are in Ultraman Rising, a neutral force. Basically, they get awoken by humans fucking with the planet. And so there's one early on which it eats nuclear waste. And this evil alien basically has manipulated them to destroy the planet and draw Ultraman out, basically, to trap him into like a conflict. And he tries to give the humans the ability to make things go gigantic. And there's a part where he, in order to demonstrate this technology, makes this woman, one of the main characters, grow gigantic. And she's like walking through the city, like destroying the planet. And one of the army guys is like, should we shoot her with a tank? And the guy's like, wait, no, don't shoot her with the tank, because it turns out that shooting a human being probably would look slightly upsetting. Like if you blow a hole in her, it would look slightly upsetting. And it very much explains exactly what Ultraman is, where he comes from, how his powers work. So if you're like, I want to know how Ultraman exactly works, that's the movie I would recommend. Do you have any questions about Shin Ultraman, Jordan?
So when you say, okay, yes, but it's also slightly a tangential question, which is going to tie into not Shin Ultraman. First question: you said that there's the Godzilla one and the Kamen one, Kamen Rider one,
yeah,
and it's like all of them are like that, but if it was in the real world,
yeah, it's kind of the idea, yeah.
So okay, Isn't the Kamen Rider one already in the real world? Aren't they all already in the real world?
What more like no. I mean, they all kind of take place in a cartoonish animated world. These are more like not so much Shin Ultraman, and Shin Kamen Rider, more Shin Godzilla. But it's like, what if it took place in our world, basically? Is kind of the idea. So what would the government? There's a lot of like in Shin Ultraman, a lot of like how the government reacts to the existence of a giant man who just appears out of nowhere. Like they're inherently mistrusting of him at first.
So in the Kamen Rider one, for example, they would be more like, oh, they're vigilantes that need to be stopped.
Well, the whole idea with the original Kamen Rider is he starts off as a bad guy. He gets kidnapped by an evil terrorist organization called Shocker, and they like genetically alter him, and he escapes their control and he fights them. That's the whole deal. So no, that I don't think Shin Kamen Rider is very good. I don't think it's as good as Shin Ultraman. It's kind of overly violent, and it just kind of like the thing I like. The thing I like about Kamen Rider is it has that air of seriousness, while having silly imagery. Whereas that movie, there's a lot of blood and a lot of guts, and it's just not. It's not as fun. Like this one, it's kind of my only real criticism of Shin Ultraman is it moves away from having it be guys in suits and all the monsters are CGI, which is to allow Ultraman and the monsters to be more mobile and more agile, but it makes the fighting look clunky. A lot of it just, I mean, it does a kind of similar thing to one of my favorite bits in Godzilla -1 is the atomic breath. I love how upsetting and it's kind of a similar scene where he does his beam, his ultra beam, and it takes out like half a forest. And I'm like, that's really cool. Like I like seeing the real world impact.
The sense of scale.
Yeah, is kind of there with this. Not to the same skill level or degree as Godzilla -1, but it's like, yeah, it's kind of interesting to see how regular humans react to this kind of stuff. And it's kind of fun.
In Godzilla -1 with the atomic fire breath, like they really amp up the atomic part of it, and it's like, yeah, it's like he dropped a nuclear bomb.
Pretty much.
And they really give you that scale of it, and it is impressive.
And Sentai, I'm sure we're going to talk about it when we get to Gokaiger, but a lot of Ultraman's monsters and villains look cheap and bad because they were cheap and bad because they didn't have the budget. It was the 1960s and they had what they had. But it's kind of similar to with like Doctor Who, how like all their monsters look cheap and bad. So like when you try to modernize them, you're kind of trapped in that like 1960s we didn't have a budget aesthetic. So a lot of the monsters look really cheap and stupid. A cool thing though is like the first monster, much like the first monster that Ultraman fights is just Godzilla. With like I'll show it to you later. It's literally just Godzilla. There's the first monster Ultraman fights. It's just the model from Shin Godzilla, but with different things attached to it. So it's literally just a moderately different looking Godzilla. I thought that was kind of funny.
Is that a bad thing?
It's just in the case of it's a funny thing. It just shows like how they had to work with a little. They had to make a little turn into a lot, and I respect it. I respect the shows that they're working with. I think in the case of Shin Ultraman, it's a reference, and it's a loving reference. In the case of the original Ultraman, they didn't have a choice.
Fair. That's fair. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being not very good and 10 being very good, what would you give this one?
I'd say it's a solid 8. I'd say it's a great or 7.5. It's a solid entry point to this franchise. If you're like, I want to like learn about Ultraman, but I don't know where to start. It's really overwhelming. Trust me, I was there. That's a good place to start. This and a double feature of Ultraman Rising.
So you said that there are hundreds of Ultraman, so you would say that this is 7 Ultraman out of 10.
I would say so. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, he's technically kind of his own Ultraman, but also kind of technically the original Ultraman. Because, like, obviously his name's not Ultraman. They have their own names. Ultraman is the name of the superhero that they form when they join together.
What's his name then?
I can't remember what the original one's name is, but that's why.
Why don't you have all of their names memorized, Justin?
Well, I mean, I have some of them. So, like, Tiga is the name of Ultraman Tiga. There's Ultraman Max, Ultraman Ginga, Ultraman X, Ultraman Taro.
Is there an Ultraman Justin?
No, not yet.
Go out there and write that show. Write the Ultraman Justin show. Pitch it to the people that make it. Have it made into a television and/or a movie, and then come back to me.
So that's it. That's all I have to say about Shin Ultraman. Yeah, if you want to know about Ultraman, highly recommend it. Jordan, that's not easy to find, but if you can find it, I recommend it. So with that, that's the end of the have scenes, Jordan. It's the end of the have scenes. It's time to move on to the haven't scenes, which you hadn't seen. Tell me, what hadn't you seen?
Well, so first question, how many haven't scenes have you got?
I technically have. It's technically 2, but it's also technically 1.
Okay. So, do you want to, if you have 2, do you want to do yours, then mine, then yours? Or do you want to just do mine and then both of yours?
We'll just do yours and then both of mine. Because mine is...
Okay.
I'll explain.
Okay, well, my have not seen...
It works out to be the same amount of episodes. Well, no, I think it's less than you. Wait, hold on. What, 16 plus 12? What is that?
28, no, I believe.
I sort of have 3. I can briefly talk about Ultraman X. See, I did less episodes than you, so it works out to be probably less. But whatever. I did more rapid fire, so it probably evens out.
I was more just thinking in terms of blocking.
Yeah.
But anyway. So mine is Pirate Sentai.
Are you gonna attempt to say the name?
Pirate Sentai Gokaiger. The technical name.
Kaizoku Gokaiger.
Technical name is Kaizoku. Kaizoku Sentai Gokaiger.
Pirate Sentai.
But I mean, in the show, they say Pirate Sentai Gokaiger. Gokaiger.
Kaizoku means pirate in Japanese.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say Pirate Sentai Gokaiger because that's what they say in the show. So yeah, you may or may not remember last time we did. Not you, Justin. I know you do. Audience may or may not remember that last time when we did live action Japanese. My have not seen have seen was the 199 battle pirate yada yada such and such. I'm not going to try to remember the name of it.
Yes.
But it was basically the special version. The special version of this. This is the series that came after. So it's about the pirates who are looking for the ultimate treasure, and their pirates' names are. Hold on, I have it right here.
I think technically your movie came out during the series.
What?
I think the movie you're talking about technically came out during the series, but it doesn't matter.
Okay. Anyways, you have Captain Marvelous, who is Gokai Red. You've got Joe. Oh, I'm gonna butcher all of these last names. Gibkin, who is Gokai Blue. You've got Luca. Hers made me laugh every time. Milfy, Gokai Yellow. You have Don Dogler.
Oh yeah, Don, that's what his name is. I forgot his name was Don Dongler.
Don Doggoer.
Don Doggoer.
Dr. Don.
Dr. Don.
And you have Ahim de Family, who is a princess. She's not French. She's an alien, Justin. They're all aliens except for Gokai Silver, who is Guy Ikari.
Guy is my favorite. Guy is my favorite. I love Guy.
He's a fanboy who knows all of the other Sentai. So the point of this Sentai is it's an anniversary Sentai.
35th.
So
35th anniversary, I believe, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Something like that. So at the beginning, there's the big battle where all of the other Sentai go up against the Zangiak army and then have to sacrifice their powers to save the planet. They destroy the fleet, and then all of the key the suits that they're wearing become keys, which are spread out And then that's when our guys, the pirate Sentai, gather all those keys, come back to Earth to look for all of the great powers of those keys, which basically just equates to getting their Megazord powers.
Megazord powers.
Or whatever you want to call it, Mecha, whatever the Sentai version of that is. Meanwhile, the Zangiak army is back and are trying to conquer the Earth again, and the pirate Sentai are all like, we're not actually heroes, but you bitches are in our way. Fuck off. And so every episode they fight them while they look for the great powers, and it's fun. You get I don't know all of these Sentai. I'm not up and up on all of the different ones that exist. But even me, the layman who doesn't know all of these, can appreciate that there is a love for all of these past series there.
It's funny whenever anyone this is the series where I'm like, if you want to learn about Sentai, this is the one. This will do it.
I don't know that it teaches you a lot necessarily, because there's references there that it's like I definitely feel like they would mean more if I knew what they were talking about. But it definitely even that notwithstanding, it definitely it makes me interested to go back. It's kind of the equivalent of if you were to watch Girl Meets World first and you have all the references to Boy Meets World and you have no idea what they mean, but it kind of makes you go you know what? Makes me want to go back and watch those original things so that I do appreciate that more.
Absolutely. And yeah, I mean it does at a point just evolve to this is the Pink Ranger episode, and this is the Blue Ranger episode.
Yeah. They do that a few cycles of that. I do have some things that I would have done differently. Starting with Gokai Silver, when he two things that I would change about him. One, I hate the episode where him and the Green Ranger get him to combine all of his suits into one suit, and so then he just constantly changes into the one suit with all the faces on it, and he does. I hate that.
But the Trident is awesome. I love the Trident.
I hate that. No, not the Trident, where he's wearing
his super form.
Gokai gold super silver thing.
Doesn't Marvelous get his own version of that as well?
I don't think so.
Doesn't he get a Red Ranger version of that?
No,
I thought he did. I know what you're talking about. I wasn't a lover of that, but I don't love external power ups. It makes the fights look clunky.
I hate that suit. I think it looks ugly. I hate that it has all the Ranger faces on it. Aesthetically, it irritates. It bothers me. I do not like it.
Yeah, that's totally fair.
So I would have not done that. I would not have used that suit at all. I would have maybe created a better looking version of it. I don't know. Enough. It's just, to me, it's aesthetically, it's busy and it's ugly.
That's fair. That's a fair hit, I think. I love that character enough. I'm willing to look the other way.
The other thing that I would have changed for Guy, these are to be fair, these are just aesthetic things that these two things anyway that I would change. I would have when he's in his normal clothes. You know how Power Rangers and Sentai, they're always wearing their colors.
Yeah.
So Pink Ranger wears pink,
doesn't he
Yellow Ranger wears yellow, etc. He wears silver, but I wouldn't have done that for him. Because he's supposed to be a fan of all the Sentais. I would have made it where each piece of his outfit is one of the other colors.
Oh, that'd been fun. You're right, that would have been fun.
I would have made it where he's wearing yellow cargo pants. He's wearing a blue jacket or a blue vest or something over top of a red shirt. He's got a green hat. Make it so he's wearing pink gloves. Make it where each piece of his outfit is one of the other colors, and that's he's a fan. He's a fan of all the colors, right? To me, if you're gonna make him a fanboy, I think that would have been better.
I believe that this is the best version of this concept. I have never seen a better version of this concept. I've never seen them do it as well, because this series understands that it's about more than just them turning into the other you have to also have those characters participate in order for it to mean anything.
Yeah.
And we're gonna get
It would
to my thing, because my thing uses a similar concept, I think, to worse effect.
It's kind of like I don't remember. I didn't actually watch the Power Ranger version, not all of it anyway.
It's
I
bad.
don't
You're not
think I
missing
did.
much.
But I saw bits and pieces, and what that one needed was like what you're talking about, where they needed to have all of those original actors come in
Yeah.
and show up and be
They
there.
try, like they come. A couple of them do, but it's not the
A
frequency
couple
that. Yeah,
do, but it's not enough.
it's
It's not
as
enough.
not as much as Gokaiger, where it's like one of them is showing up an episode, and it's like with Sentai, it's like these guys, or even
Not
even
not every episode, but enough of the episodes.
enough of them, and like it's like, well, for a lot of these guys, it's like once they've done it, they'll come back like anytime you want them to. It's so.
Yeah.
Even though like they've all gone on to be massively successful, they'll almost always come back to do this for some reason.
So there's a lot of episodes. I'm not gonna go through each and every episode, obviously. But
What is
one
your
of the characters,
favorite episode?
There's a lot of them.
Because I've got my favorites for mine. Got two.
Oh, that's a hard question. It's a blur, man. Probably the one. Probably the Christmas episode one.
Is that the one where you got Gokai Christmas?
Well, where it's the one where the dude that's turning people into dolls comes, and it's this really sweet, like really really nice thing where the Yellow Ranger, you get to see a softer side of her. And by the way, when I say a Sundari, or like a Sunder or whatever character,
Yeah.
she is that. She's that type of character.
Oh, okay.
I looked up the actual definition of what it is, and it's basically when you have a character like Sakura from Naruto, where you have a character who goes from being really cold to really hot, like one like really soft and like really mean to like sweet and love and caring.
Gotcha.
That kind of character, which is what she is.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
is that the one that?
And in the episode, she ends up sacrificing, like letting herself getting turned into a doll, and she gave the girl whose brother got turned into a doll that was really upset. She gives her the Gokai Yellow Changer, and she turns into the Yellow Ranger and actually saves the day.
Ah, that's neat.
And it's really sweet and it's really nice, and like the entire episode, Gokai Silver is trying to explain Christmas to them,
Yeah, I'm
because
pretty
obviously
sure
they're aliens.
I'm positive that's
So
the one.
so they have no idea.
I was gonna say I'm positive that's the one that has Gokai Christmas.
I mean, I know that there's one of the Gokai guys who is dressed up as Santa Claus.
Oh yeah, there's a moment where I'm pretty sure it's Guy. He turns into it's half red, half green, and he's like, "I'm Gokai Christmas."
Oh, I might have missed that moment, but I would say off the top of my head, there's a lot of episodes I liked, but off the top of my head, that's probably one of the ones that I like most because it's sweet.
Yeah,
like it made me go like, oh.
I love any episode that softens Captain Marvelous, because he's my. It's him and Guy. I love Captain Marvelous. He's really good.
I love Captain Marvelous, but I like aspects of them all. Like I there's things I like about each of them. But I want to carve out a slice of time here, because there's a character that I have to rewrite / complain about, because I don't love what they did with him, and I think I can make it better. You remember Bosco?
Yeah, he's the dude with the trumpet, right?
Yeah, he was Captain Marvelous's. He was with Captain Marvelous on the original Red Pirate crew,
right?
And then ends up betraying and yada yada yada. And then for a good chunk of the series, he's also hunting the powers, the Ranger powers.
He's got a monkey who he lets die, right? And it's really upsetting.
He blows her up.
Yeah, I remember that.
Like
I
he
remember that episode. You're
sacrifices
like,
her.
wow, that was really cold.
So my big problem with him is, so most of the time he's in a human form, but then obviously, like you said with Ultraman, they don't want to have them like shooting their pirate guns or slicing them at a human when they're fighting, so
Yeah.
they have him turn into just a monster. Like it's just to me it's boring.
Yeah, fair enough.
Like okay, I have two directions that I would have gone in. I'm gonna say the safer one, which I think would have worked, but it's not. It wouldn't have been it wouldn't have been my preferred choice. But the first thing that I think they should have done is, instead of him turning, have it where basically, so in it, their mentor, Go Red or whatever his name was, the original leader,
Oh,
who every time you saw him, he was in the red Sentai suit.
yeah. Go Onger. Not Go Onger. Red. I know what you mean. I think the guy with the big helmet, big blue eyes on his helmet.
Yeah, whatever his name is.
Yeah, he's the very first
What I would
Sentai.
have done is, instead of him turning into a monster, I would have had it turn out where you, like, story wise, you find out that he was the one that got him killed somehow, one way or another, and then took his key. And so every time they fought, he turns into that,
Oh,
and
that'd
it's
be
a
fun.
gut punch to Captain Marvelous, because every time he fights him, he's seeing his mentor's suit, and
Oh, you're talking about Aqua Red.
it's far. Yeah,
Oh, gotcha.
and then it's far more interesting than having him turn into a random red monster every time. And then you can also have it where his thing allows him to to transfer change between the different Power Ranger Sentai suits as well. And then you have Changer versus Changer, and it's way more interesting than just
Or-
them fighting against empty suits and him as a monster.
Or
Or
have it where he could
the
turn to
other
bad guys.
that was gonna be my that's the one that I would have preferred.
Yeah.
Less safe option is, I would have had him show up in his human form, be like, while you've been busy hunting that power, I found an even greater power to hunt, and have it be where he then changes into the villains from the main bad guy of each of the Sentai series.
And then you could have it where the bad guys. I mean, it wouldn't. Yeah, because then I guess the bad guys can still create new bad. That totally. I see that. I could see that. That works for me. Have it where the classic
Where it's
monsters
like-
are also their own keys. Yeah.
Where it's like, the classic bad guys from all the various Sentais have their own, and then every time he changes into, like, for example, if it was Power Rangers, he changes into the one from Time Force. He changes, the one with the face. He changes into Lord Zed. He changes into.
I mean, you just mentioned two Power Rangers exclusive bad guys, but yes, yeah, absolutely.
No, I know. I'm giving the Power Rangers equivalent.
Oh,
If he
I
was
see.
in Power
I see,
Rangers,
I see.
that's what he would do.
Have him turn into.
I don't know. I don't know enough of the Sentai ones to list them off, so I had to go to the thing that I knew, which is Power Rangers.
You could have him turn into Goldar, which is in Japanese is called Griffzor. Griffizor, I think is what his name is.
Or Bandora, Metal Bandora, or whatever. Or whatever. Like, have him turn into the different version. And to me, that's just way more interesting than he's just a red monster for some reason.
Yeah, I agree. Jordan, is there anything else you felt you wanted to say about Gokaiger? Did you want to talk about the violence? How violent it is?
I mean, there's definitely, okay. Yes, there are a few more things I wanted to say. One, yes, it's definitely, if you were to compare it to Power Rangers, there's moments where, like, they do, like, the leg on the neck twist, and you hear, like, a snapping sound, and it's like, whoa!
My
you
favorite
definitely
is
just broke that guy's neck.
My two favorites I always mention, but the one where he snaps the guy's neck with his legs as he transforms. That was sweet. And then the other one, in the one with the guy from SPD, where he's, like, stealthing in and he drops down from the ceiling and, like, slits the guy's throat. That was pretty sweet.
Or I mean, there's where Bosco is working with the one Zangak villain, and literally walks up and stabs him in the side, and the knife is sticking out, and it's like, you just wouldn't get that in Power Rangers.
And it makes these shows more fun.
And there's just the fact that I have to pay compliments here. I like the choreography of the fights. I think
it's
I think
really
they are
good. It's
really
genuinely
good.
good. Yeah. It's dynamic. It's
Like
interesting. It's fun to watch. It's colorful.
yeah. And they make use of they make really good use of the other Sentai and transforming and it just I'm not gonna lie. To me, as fun as it is to see them transform into the different ones of the same team, there's something even more amusing of seeing them all turn into a Red Ranger. Like
Right?
a
Or like,
different
oh
Red
yeah,
Ranger
yeah, yeah.
from a different Sentai at the same
I know
time.
what you mean.
Or
Yeah.
like yellow or pink or whatever.
Or like
And
all
so
the six, they all turn into a sixth
that's
ranger. That's super fun as well. There's one of those moments.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's where I say there is the cycle of yeah, you have the first series of episodes, which is like a Red Ranger episode or a Pink Ranger, which is kind of telling their backstory and how they got to where they are and stuff.
Yeah.
Then you have the second round of it where you dive further into it and there's the Pink Ranger episode where you found out that the one bad guy killed all over planet and why she's so motivated. And then you get to the fight and because they're all we're here for you, they all turn into a pink
And
a
you get
pink
this.
ranger or a yellow ranger or
Yeah.
whatever for the different episodes. Or one of the things that I like in terms of uh of this show as opposed to other ranger shows that I've seen is it's a little bit less formulaic. It's a little bit less they fight small version and then big version. It is a lot of that,
Yeah. There's a
but it's
lot
not
of that.
entirely
No,
that.
exactly. That's why I
It's a
like it too.
lot of
Yeah.
that, but it's not entirely that. So you have episodes where it's they start out mid battle and the Silver Ranger or Gokai Silver is up in his big Megazord and they're fighting on the ground and it's you get multiple perspectives
Yeah.
across different point of the battles and sometimes it's not always the generals or stuff that get grown, but you have the grunts that get grown too and it's
Yeah. No.
oh,
Yeah.
now they have to fight against three or four bad guys and it's I appreciate that that slight difference that kind of keeps it a little bit
One thing
on its toes.
I like about Gokaiger is their transformation sequence is short.
Oh yeah,
I mean
so nice.
there are times where it does get a little bit like they paid for the thing that sequence where it's them against the space background. They're like Gokai Silver, and they show it or Gokai Blue, and they show that really prolonged. And you're like, yeah, they paid for that. They're gonna get their money's worth. But it's not
They'll
overly
stretch their
long.
money's worth. Yeah.
But yeah, there's a future season which they didn't do it for Power Rangers, but it's called Tokyuger, where it's trains, and that season's unique because they can swap colors. So the one, so the Blue Ranger, for example, will walk up and take out the Green Ranger's train out of his morpher, and then they'll swap colors. So now the Green Ranger is using the Blue Ranger's powers, and vice versa. Or the Red Ranger will walk up and take the Pink Ranger's thing and become a Pink Ranger, but it's still the same guy, but it's same costume, but it's now a different color. It's really kind of fun.
One of the other things that I liked / appreciated about it is so obviously there are Sentai that just didn't come to North America.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think from the same season. So for example, there's the samurai ones, samurai in North America. I don't remember what they are in Japan. But there's two versions of the Red Ranger from that one, that one
That's they did
thing.
that. They did that in Japan. They did that in English as well.
One where it's a female and one where it's a guy.
Yeah.
And so there's a point where they all turn into Red Rangers, where I believe it's the Pink Ranger turns into the girl version of that, and the Red Ranger turns into the guy version of that.
Yeah.
And it's hey, that's
think,
don't get a lot of that.
I think in that season they made it where I think there ended up being 3, although I might be thinking of the other ninja season, but they did that in Power Rangers too.
You.
Really? We managed to make it through the whole show. Can you hear me now?
Hold that thought.
Can you hear me now?
Hold on. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, you popped back into reality.
Yeah, in Power Rangers
we had a good track record this time.
We were having a good run. No, yeah, they did that in Power Rangers, where there's the Red Ranger And then there's his older. It's the same thing in the Japanese version. His older sister is also the Red Ranger. There's a whole thing in that series about like being a Red Ranger is like their destined, like basically it's a family legacy kind of thing. And the sister is supposed to be the Red Ranger, but doesn't end up being it for some reason. I don't know why. I don't remember.
Okay. Anyways, I was just saying it's cool being able to see two of the same one.
That is cool.
And yeah, it's a real love letter to Sentai, and it was fun. I had a good time. Although, one last thing, one final thing. So you remember how I said that there are moments where it feels like there are references to things that I should get.
Yeah.
So in the episode where the Yellow Time Ranger shows up, comes back in time, and then takes them back or gets them to go back in time, and that's the clip that I showed you, which you said was their first reveal.
Yeah.
In that episode, at the end of it, they send back basically a picture of them with a lady and a kid from the past, who he looks at it and is like, is that like that? That's, and he says a name which meant nothing to me. And he's like crying, and he's like, he looks so handsome, and I'm like, I'm guessing in Time Rangers when he goes to the past, he falls in love with someone or something.
Yeah,
and that's his kid.
I think
I'm guessing
it's the same as I'm pretty sure that show's more or less the same as Time Force, where it's he falls in love with the Pink Ranger.
But it's the Yellow Ranger.
Oh, then I don't know. I don't know that. I'd have to see.
That's what I'm saying. Like in this version, I'm guessing it's the Yellow Ranger that falls in love, not the Red Ranger.
I'm guessing. Yeah, I'm guessing. I don't know.
Or something. I don't know. All I know is that I was like, this feels like something that would mean more to me if I had watched that series.
Fair. So, is that it? Is that all you got? Is that the end?
Yeah, that's it.
What'd you say, Jordan? Did you like it better than Kamen Rider?
I like them both for different reasons.
Interesting. So, we're gonna get there, but I want you to conceive right now, as we go through my last two, what you want to do next, and then I want you to tell me at the end of the show.
For a Sentai?
Yeah, for anything live action. Sentai, Kamen Rider. Maybe you want to do an Ultraman. Maybe you want to do I'd like to do Metal here. We're gonna get there. We're gonna talk about it at the end. So that's all you have. So would you watch another Sentai?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially now that I know they're on Tubi.
Well, I mean, the modern ones aren't so much. That you're gonna have to put some effort if you want to watch a modern one. If you want to watch an old one, yeah, absolutely. If you want to watch a new one, not so much with Sentai. But anyway, we'll get there. So, with my final two, I technically watched two, but it says it's one. But my point is gonna be that it's not. Anyway, I watched Ultraman Ginga, which is not like the newest season, but it's like one of the newer seasons. It's more one of the modern seasons, and the concept of this one is it's very similar to yours, where it's about turning into things from Ultraman past. But in this case, they turn into the monsters. They turn into the kaiju. And then once they fight as the kaiju, and then the bit is like... So they're
the bad guys?
No, they're good guys, but they fight the other kaiju. They fight kaiju, and usually the kaiju is part of like some sort of lesson about the episode. And then they fight as the kaiju the guy fights as the kaiju for a while. And then the Ultraman, basically the idea is instead of keys, they're dolls. They're called spark dolls. And he has a spark, like a thing that he puts the dolls on, and he turns into whatever he puts the dolls on. And so he fights as the monster for a while, and then the Ultraman doll appears and he turns into Ultraman. And then he fights the monsters as Ultraman. And then every episode he gets a new one, and then the next episode he uses the newest one, and it's one of those. That's the power. But it's not done nearly as well because the previous ones don't really show up. The only character that's there is Ultraman Taro. But other than that, no other characters from previous seasons show up. The monsters, and this is kind of my thing with with Ultraman generally, the kaiju aren't, in my opinion, memorable enough for you to. There's a couple in the first few episodes that are from the original show that I only recognized because I had watched the original show that day. But like, if I hadn't, I wouldn't have really recognized any of these monsters. And the fights are okay. This was kind of the moment where I realized that I understood why, because Kinnikuman is a parody of Ultraman. I understand why that franchise went in the direction of professional wrestling, because a lot of the fighting moves that Ultraman does are professional wrestling moves. And a lot of when the bad guys show up, they're like, "Oh my god, it's this guy!" And he just shows up out of nowhere, like as he's cutting a promo, basically, and just feels like it's professional. I'm like, I get why this is professional wrestling, but it doesn't put in the effort of Gokaiger, where it's like it's not, the love isn't there in the same way. And so the idea with this is basically. He's
now. Do you think that's because the creators didn't put in the effort, or do you think that's because there's just not as much of a following as there is for Sentai?
I think it's probably maybe a little bit of both. I think that
interesting.
I think that Ultraman doesn't have besides Ultraman. To be fair, I'm not a massive Ultraman fan, so I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but it just doesn't feel like he has the same. He feels niche more than Sentai does to me. And like I said before, because they realize that because there's a lot of episodes where the monsters is regular person sized, so they realize that they can't. But the things that they're fighting aren't as fun, and the choreography isn't as interesting a lot of times. But what's kind of neat is that the kind of the gimmick of this is it basically takes place in like a school, or like I think it's a temple / school. And they all have like the Ginga symbol on their hand. And you sort of find out as the show goes on that more of these people share this power, so they can also turn into monsters. So instead of it being like regular kaiju, it's people as kaiju fighting each other.
So do the kaiju talk?
It's sort of. It's the people as the kaiju talking.
Like, no, but I guess I'm asking a retroactive question. In the older version,
they're just Godzilla. They're just kaiju like you would see in Godzilla movies.
Well, that's why it doesn't have the stand.
Yeah.
If you're
but they're not as iconic as Godzilla's
part of what
monsters,
makes Sentai is for kids, and even so is Kamen Rider, and the thing with both Kamen Rider and Sentai that I've found anyway from my watching it is their villains talk to them.
Yeah.
So there's like an engaging factor, whereas from what you're describing and what I know of Ultraman, it's just a dude fighting a big monster, and like, yeah, that's interesting for a movie.
Yeah.
But to watch every episode of that, I could see why that wouldn't be, like, that would get very boring to me. And I could see why, especially for a kid.
Yeah.
I could see why that wouldn't appeal nearly as much. It's
that, and there are like a big, like there's like a big overarching bad guy who shows up, or like a group of bad guys. Like there's an equivalent in this show to the Zanjak, but they're never very interesting looking, or like for me they weren't very interesting looking. Like they're a remnant of like, oh, this is what the creature design was in the 1960s, and it needs to remain consistent. Like it's a lot of that. The coolest bit is there's a monster, and eventually they develop the ability to control Ultraman. So like at one point they summon like Dark Tiga, and the main bad guy, he can turn into dark Ultra 7, and that's kind of neat. So like they look like their regular forms, but they like have like they're kind of slightly darker, and they're more evil and sinister looking.
So then the heroes are the common fighting, or the heroes are the monsters fighting the
evil Ultraman. Yeah, at one point, yeah.
See, that's a little bit more interesting.
Fun. Yeah, that doesn't happen. And then as you get towards the end, the guy who's turning into the evil Ultraman, he gets redeemed, and all of the other sort of this show's version of the Science Squad, which is all of his friends, they all develop the ability to change into Ultraman as well. They can turn to the different past versions of Ultraman. And that's kind of cool. So the final fight of the show is like 5 Ultramen versus 1 big monster, and that's fun. Like that's kind of fun. And also there's a really sick, I forgot to mention, this show, yeah, there's a lot of like you said, characters and moments where I'm clearly meant to recognize it, where I'm like, I'm supposed to recognize this. So I looked it up and I sure enough, oh, okay, he's a guy from another show. Oh, so this is an alternate version of, okay. So because there's a really cool robot, like like genuinely, the suit design, the character design, it looks really cool, and he's really fluid, and the fights are fun. And I'm like,
and that's where I gotta throw another compliment back to the Pirate Sentai. Is like, while there were a few moments where I was like, I feel like this would mean more if I knew the original, they're mostly very good of like, okay, you have they like when they want you to know who the person was,
yeah,
they have the Sentai outfit flash on top of them, and I'm like, okay, I don't know who this character is, but at least I now can attribute what he was from, right? And I appreciated that.
I found that Gokaiger was really good at making me understand why I'm supposed to be recognizing this. Even if I didn't, it did a decent job of articulating why I was supposed to be recognizing this. Whereas the Ultraman Ginga didn't so much.
It also sticks to the themes of what the original Sentai of the episode are. So like when the car ranger guy shows up, like he's like promoting like traffic safety and stuff like that, because that was the theme of his original Sentai, and I think that's very clever. It was a very clever way of doing it.
The other thing is, like, because it's been around so long, a lot of Ultramen have been retconned and updated. So like I'm watching, when I watch later stuff, it's like, oh, I've clearly missed a bunch of subsequent information that's cropped up over the course of this franchise. That happened a lot with this. But this is where you're like, oh, so Ultraman Ginga doesn't really talk for like a good chunk of the series, and a big part of the mystery is discovering who Ultraman Ginga is, because the whole thing with that series is they're fighting some big bad guy, it doesn't matter, and they all the Ultramen got turned into dolls. So he, the only one who didn't, who was still allowed to maintain his like consciousness, is Ultraman Taro. And he's like, Ultraman Ginga, how come you're allowed to keep your consciousness as well? What's the deal? And then there's moments where towards the end, where he starts to like slowly talk to the guy, to his host. And it's funny because there's scenes where you see them talk to each other one-on-one, and you get to see what how tall Ultramen are when they're your height. It's kind of funny. It's like, oh, so that's clearly just the regular costume. So anyway,
that's funny.
That's Ultraman Ginga, and so that was 12 episodes long, and I was like, shit. Every Ultraman series I looked at was not nearly as long as yours, and I'm like, what do I do? And then I saw there was a second season called Ultraman Ginga S, and when I looked it up, I was like, okay, it's an Ultraman. It's a second season of Ultraman Ginga. Perfect. I thought it was 12. It turned out to be 16. Yeah, but I would argue it's a second season in the way that, like, how to put this? Go Sager is another season of Sentai than Gokaiger. Like, they're not really connected, other than the fact that Ultraman Ginga is there, technically, but he's not really. None of the characters from the previous season really come back. His power set is different now. He obviously still looks the same. And the funny thing about Ultraman, especially the newer seasons, is they animate one transformation sequence. One. And I hope you like it, because you are going to be seeing it every single episode, the entire length of it, with no variation on it. It is exactly the same every single time.
Well, now see, you say that like it's a bad thing, but
10 episodes in, it starts to be a bad thing.
When you're doing what we're doing, and it's a consistent chunk of time that you can then skip, it makes powering through this shit a lot faster.
But it's why I like Sentai and Kamen Rider, because they'll do that full long transformation sequence like every once in a while, to like when they really want to be dramatic. But otherwise, it's just like a quick change and they're done.
Like you don't have to sit there and watch them go through the whole roll call that would be like if every single time they transformed, you had to watch that really long roll call they did every single time. It gets tedious.
So you mean Power Rangers?
Yeah, pretty much. But I mean, Power Rangers
North American Power Rangers.
But also Power Rangers is also decent about like there's episodes where they don't do the full one as well. This one it's like every single. But this season is basically now there's a second Ultraman named Ultraman Victory. But and this is where it gets confusing because Ultraman Victory is from basically he's the power set of a guy who comes from the secret underground society called the Victorium, but Ultraman Victory doesn't have his own personality. Like unlike Ultraman Ginga, who is his own being, who he has conversations with the guy who is like his host. There doesn't seem to be an Ultraman Victory who exists separately. It's just a thing he can turn into. It's very strange. And so the gimmick is this time Ultraman Victory,
like the movie.
Kinda, yeah. Ultraman Victory can utilize the dolls and basically summon different powers. So like the one monster gives him like a super like arm, the other one gives him like a whip, the one guy gives him like a sword, and it's all different weapons and stuff. And then eventually and this is my thing. This is why I say Ultraman or Gokaiger is better at this because you have to get to see them turn into previous versions of Sentai. You have to get to see the previous versions of Sentai participate. He gets a thing that's kind of like a watch where he gets to use the other Ultraman's powers, but they all kind of look the same. It's all varying degrees of laser beams that look like this. And it's like they're not really different other than you briefly get to see like it's like Ultraman Tiga's Ultra Beam and you get to see him very briefly, but it's not very interesting looking. And so the utilization of the other Ultraman's powers is just not as well done. This one's kind of fun because Ultraman Victory kind of serves as almost like a Vegeta kind of style character.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Secondary protagonist.
Yeah, he's a dick at first. Yeah, he's a dick at first. He also gets the power-ups and then they become friends by the end of it, kind of relationship.
But I would have also taken a Shadow.
Shadow or even Sasuke.
Yeah, he's another one.
Yeah.
Secondary protagonist.
Yeah, Matt
is
from
what they're referred to
Digimon as well. It's otherwise it's okay. Like I say, I didn't find the individual character drama as compelling as a Kamen Rider as a Super Sentai, and the action sometimes it's dynamic and fun. Sometimes the choreography is good. Like it's really funny when like I used one of the shots of it, but there's a really funny one of like him turning into to Ultraman Max, I think is what it was, and then he just flies out of nowhere and kicks the kaiju in the head. Like it's very funny because you watch I went back and I rewatched after I watched Shin Ultraman. I watched the episodes that movie was based on, and I realized that Ultraman does judo. That's his fighting style is judo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Once you notice that, it's kind of the fights are kind of more fun that way, and just it's a lot of like flailing around, and it's an all right franchise. I think I still like Kamen Rider more. I think that's still my favorite. So
that's fair.
With that, Jordan, for next we're gonna do this in two parts. We'll start off with part the first. For next time, it's up to you. You have to pick what your next live action tokusatsu series is going to be. I don't need a specific series, but I want a franchise. Right now, what franchise are you the most interested in exploring, either again or all new? Do you want to do Kamen Rider again? Do you want to do Sentai again?
I kind of want to keep the theme of going back and forth. So I did Sentai this time. I kind of want to go back and do a Kamen Rider. I don't know which one. I'll probably need your guidance on that.
All right.
But I'm thinking of but I'm also kind of tempted by you mentioned that the space
Space Sheriff Gavin. Gavin. That's fun.
I'm a little tempted by that because then if I did as a rapid fire the Pirate Sentai versus Space Gavin, it kind of fits a theme.
Fair enough. I myself, I will probably be That is Metal Hero.
I'm leaning towards a Kamen Rider though.
Interesting. And here's what I will say if this tips you in any way. I'm probably that what you're referring to is from the Metal Hero. I'm probably gonna do the Metal Hero that Big Bad Beetleborgs is based on.
Interesting.
So if you want to do another Common Rider and I can do another Metal Hero and it could be another versus thing, we can do that again. We'll talk about it off air. But I want you to think about
We'll
that.
talk about it.
But I want this time though the gig is
That's like 4 months away.
Yeah.
We still got like 30 something episodes of season 3 that we got to get through, baby.
The gig is the key though is going to be you will have to select your own.
My voice cracked there.
You will have to select your own. I will give you advice and I will give you suggestions, but you're going to have to pick your own. 100% you'll be flying solo on this one.
No, I don't like that.
It'd be your challenge. It is to be go through a couple of them.
It's challenge. It's challenge enough to download and watch the show. I'm gonna need your guidance on which one you think I'll like.
I will provide you helpful suggestions, and I will tell you a few that I think you'll like. But it's going to be up to you to narrow it down. But that's coming. That'll be coming in a few months. I'm looking forward to that. And we'll do anime again. We'll bring back Soraya. They want to come back and talk about some more anime. So we'll do that. But we have to talk about next week. Next week, because I'm all about that algorithm and that SEO, baby. I want to watch I want to watch Alien Romulus, Jordan. I want to watch Alien Romulus. So
so our entire thing is going to be created and crafted around the fact that you want to watch a movie in theater and cater to the algorithm. So now we're going to have to do something alien related, is what you're saying.
Jordan. Yes, obviously. Yes, we're doing Alien versus Predator. I mean,
who could have seen that coming? Who definitely wasn't pre-told about this and definitely didn't already know it was coming? Who is definitely acting legitimately right now in his indignation?
Now, initially, I was gonna make you I was gonna make you do Alien, and I was gonna no, fuck it, no, I still want to do Predator. I'm gonna do Predator. Sorry, there's a bunch of Predator movies I haven't seen still. I'd like to watch those. I also want to watch Prey again.
I mean, that's fair, but I will warn you, for the book report, I don't think I've ever watched an Alien movie.
Really? You can have Alien versus Predator then.
I think I've seen Alien versus Predator.
You can have Alien versus Predator, and you can do some of the ones you haven't seen as rapid fire. It doesn't matter. Watch as many of them as you can. That's gonna be the goal.
That's fair. I'm just saying.
Start from
I'm
the
trying
first
to
one
think.
and work your way.
I'm trying to think, and I legitimately don't think I've ever watched an Alien movie.
So the goal for you is
how have I never watched an Alien movie?
The goal and the challenge
I must have watched at least one.
But the goal is going to be the goal and the challenge is going to be to watch all of the Alien movies, all of them, every single one. And my goal is going to be to watch all of the Predator movies.
Are they all on streaming?
I believe both Alien and the Predator movies are all on Disney Plus, I believe.
Okay, that makes things easy.
I believe. There might be a couple missing. You may have to acquire some other places, but Alien versus Predator. That's next week. Look forward to that. That's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to that.
And
I'm looking forward to watching some movies in English.
Very obvious. Yes, me too. Very obviously, one of the requirements for this is we will both have to watch Alien versus Predator and do a joint or a battle of some sort.
I will
if
try.
you will.
I'm gonna try.
An Alien versus Predator review, if you will.
I'm gonna do all the Predator movies first because there's 2 Predator movies I haven't seen because I've seen all the Alien movies. I haven't seen all the Predator movies. So there's 2 Predator movies I have to watch. I'm gonna do those first, and if I have time, I'll do Alien versus Predator. I cannot commit to being like, yes, I will do, but I'm also me and I like to punish myself. But we're gonna have to work out a time to watch Alien Romulus before next Saturday. But anyway, that's next week. Looking forward to that. It's the end of the show, Jordan. We actually pushed this to 2 hours. I didn't think we were gonna hit 2 hours. I thought this was gonna be an hour 45. It's not quite the 3 hour magnificence we've been giving you guys lately. I'm sorry, it's slightly shorter, but
so that means it might be a little bit more palatable.
Palatable for poor Soraya who listens on Spotify. Hi, Soraya. Thank you for listening.
Hello.
They're the only one who listens.
And thank you to everyone who listens on YouTube. Definitely,
And all
100%.
64. I'm really hoping that we hit 69 on a Saturday, so I can say that we're. Jordan, say it with me now. 69.
69, dudes.
One day we'll manage to get that. Anyway, it's the end of the show. It's the end of the show. Plugs. Jordan, where can they find you? Where are you as always?
I do Minecraft Monday on Twitch, ZethGore187. I'm here on Saturdays to talk with you fine people about the Spur of the Moment podcast. Spur of the Moment podcast, brought to you by the Spur of the Moment podcast. We bring you podcasts. We're Spur of the Moment.
We live at Spur of the Moment. I'm on TikTok. As always, TikTok isn't loving me right now, but that's where I be. We have a show TikTok. It's the Spur of the Moment P. You can email the show at itsjustinsbusiness@gmail.com. You can join our Discord. Discord link expires every 7 days, but I try to keep it updated, but I'm negligent, so it may not be updated.
So if you try to click the link in a past video and it doesn't work, that just means that you have to come back here to the newest episode while it still works and listen to the entire thing and then click the link and then go into the Discord.
Exactly.
After you've listened to the entire thing. It won't work unless you listen to the entire thing.
I plugs. Tomorrow at some point, I think I have an episode of the Average Intelligence podcast with Jake coming out. He's been really cool about letting me guest host with him on that while his partner Eric is on sick leave. We talked about some politics stuff. So if you're like, I want to hear Justin's dumb opinions on politics, you can go check that out, the Average Intelligence podcast. Check the website.
On American politics.
No, we touched on some Canadian politics as well. We talked some Canadian politics.
All right.
Yeah, we talked
Fair enough.
about a little bit of everything. I always enjoyed talking to him. I think it was a 2.5 hour conversation. It's totally worth checking out. I'm not sure when that's coming out because we didn't do that live. We pre-recorded that. I also did a couple episodes with him. We did one where we talked about Harry Potter. You can always check that out. Leave a comment. Tell us what you think about Ultraman or Super Sentai. Have you watched it? Would you watch it? You should watch it. Jordan, would you say people should watch Gokaiger?
I would say they should watch it. I would say if you're going to dip your toes into Sentai, this is a good one to start with. Even if you don't understand the language and have to watch half of them in full Japanese with no subtitles because your videos don't want to fucking work and make your life difficult, you can still get by. You can still get by because half the video is just them fighting.
We're out.